Live betting reaction to all of the night's action. You're tuned in to VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio. Patrick Meagher, Dustin Swedelson, VSiN Live.
All right, it is VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio, as we say hi on a Friday. What is it, 16th? We got the Preakness tomorrow, got the PGA Round 2 wrapping up in front of us here, but the big news tonight. So I'm going to ask you to start the program, 888-MAD-DOG-6, 888-623-3646. If the Knicks lose tonight, go ahead, fill it in. If the Knicks lose, because that was a soft-ass performance a couple of nights ago. So let's take a look at the number and get you set up as we say hi. Isaiah Ramirez in New York City. We've got, of course, our buddy Ryan Smith in Vegas running YouTube. You can get involved in the chat, youtube.com/VSiN Live. I'm Patrick Meagher. Dustin Swedelson, he must have went to church. Now, he'll make a dumb Jewish joke about it, so I don't know what church means, but I do know this. He's praying at the altar of the Knickerbockers, all right? Because that is, he's a Knicks fan. He says he's a Knicks fan, and he's tripping. A lot of people are freaking out. There's Jalen Brunson, who was a freaking dog in Game 5. We'll get to him in just a second. Now, this is 2.5. Now, it has jumped up to 3. So it was sitting 2.5 with the Knicks favored pretty much all day and has jumped up to 3. So maybe some Knicks backing coming in. Let's put it this way. This is the first time in the 2025 playoffs the Celtics have been underdogs. No Tatum, no worries in Game 5. Look at it this way. This is the third time in the past 50 postseason games the Celtics have been a dog. So to say the pressure is on the New York Knicks would be an understatement. Again, they haven't been a dog, the Celtics, this postseason over the last 50. That's a pretty good sample size. They've been a dog 3 times, and the Knicks are laying 2.5, 3. No pressure on the Knicks. I am starting to get concerned about this Knicks team who lead 3-2 in the series, because if you think about it, against the Pistons, who they much overmatched and overwhelmed, they should have beaten the Pistons handily. They got their asses beat at MSG, turned around, no pressure when you go back to Detroit, and then they ultimately end up closing out the series in Detroit. This is going to get interesting because they had their opportunity a la the Indiana Pacers. The Indiana Pacers went, of course, to Cleveland, made a freaking statement. Cleveland got out to a big jump early. Mitchell was playing out of his freaking mind. And then what happens? Indiana, who, by the way, I did go through, and we'll give you the series prices once we get them, but we'll give you the updated title prices. I went through and came up with 6 reasons why the Pacers can win a championship. So we shall get to that coming up in just a bit. But this really tonight, because it's house money for the Celtics. They won a championship last year. They just lost their best player for not only the rest of this postseason, for next season as well. So honestly, this Knicks team was built to beat the Celtics with Tatum. And whether or not Tatum was going to end up finishing that game where he popped his Achilles, the Knicks were going to win it. That's the best game they played in a very long time. That happened to be bookended by the worst game they played in Game 5 in a very long time. You go to Boston with an opportunity to put your foot on the Celtics' throat, and you get beat by 25 without their best player. It's a disgusting performance. Now, for those of you hanging out with Samuel Adams up in New England, I do give you props. It's almost like the Celtics were like, we don't have to deal with Tatum. We don't have to deal with feeding him the ball, watching him isolate at the top of the key, and drop 42. We can have a little fun. We can stretch it out. Even Brown learned the dribble. Of course, Derek White becomes the story because Derek White, outside of Tatum, is the best player on the Celtics. Don't at me. He just is. And he was a dog in Game 5, but it was Cornette. It was everybody contributing for the Celtics. And that leads us to what is a very interesting Game 6. And I'm almost glad. Like I said, we did bet, and we bet pretty heavily on the Knicks, and we took a big fat L. And if you tailed us, my apologies. But we're coming back on the Knicks tonight, right? I mean, if we're just being completely honest. But here's what does concern me. That number 2.5, And now I just see a shop went from 3 down to 2.5. So I'm watching the real number. I'm watching the number matriculate as I talk to you. So we're going back and forth between 2.5 and 3. Let me ask you this. What does the Knicks laying 2.5 at home in a game 6 mean to you? It means the Celtics are favored. Wait, hold on. You're telling me the Knicks are laying 2.5, but the Celtics are favored? Yes. When you consider the power ranking that goes into home court and where the Knicks sit at 2.5, the odds makers are saying the better team is the Celtics. So your boy Jalen Brunson and your soft-ass Karl Anthony Towns. Julius Randle all of a sudden has become Wilt Chamberlain. So Karl Anthony Towns got a little something to answer for. Do me a favor. Understand you were genetically blessed with a 7-foot frame. Freaking act like it. Get a couple of boards. Jump in there. Get dirty. Break a freaking nose. It doesn't matter. You're going to go home because if the Knicks lose tonight, they are not going to Boston and winning a basketball game. And that is for you, Adam Shine. And that is for you, Spike Lee. And that's for you, Timothy Chalamet. And my guess is because Chalamet's so ride or die for the Knicks now, it's also for you, Mad Dog Christopher Russo, a.k.a. Snoop Dogg's best friend. Let's go ahead and relax. Relax right now and take a deep breath because it's about to get real. Oh, look who's there. Sassy Pants. Mad Dog Sports Radio alum Stephen A. Smith looking solemn at MSG. I love Stephen A. Smith. The shtick is wild. If we're being honest, like, why are you angry? Why are you so serious? Why are you talking like you're at a funeral? And why are you so entertaining? The big guy, look at him. The big guy, I just looked across the way. I can see by the wonders of Zoom, the big guy is down on a knee. Is he proposing to his boo? No, he's crying at the altar. I mean, here's the deal. The Knicks lose tonight, one of the bigger meltdowns in the franchise's history. This tonight, in a weird way, becomes the biggest game of the last 20 years, biggest game of the last 25 years. Don't really know how to quantify it. It just feels massive. Oh, and there's Stephen A. hanging out with Richard Jefferson. Little known fact about Richard Jefferson. You go turn right at this street right here out in front of my place, and you want to go to Starbucks. Now, if you go to Starbucks, you're going to be shamed because there's a local coffee joint across the street called Java Man. But I go to Starbucks because I like their iced coffee. And every time I do, I get clowned because people say, stay local. Stay local. Well, right next to the Java Man is a yoga shop that Richard Jefferson owns. A little symmetry there with where I sit. And MSG, Richard Jefferson, former Net. The bottom line is, let me live. I like Starbucks. That doesn't make me a terrorist. Let the Knicks live. And they live if they win tonight. But that's the point. I think you all would agree. So my question to start, as the big guy picks himself up after a couple of Hail Marys, or whatever you do when you're starting to get desperate, and he is a desperate man. There's a lot going on in his life right now. He's trying to pull it together. He's trying to figure out which way is his North Star, as are his Knicks. So if the Knicks were to lose tonight, it's over. But if the Knicks lose, ... you fill in the blank. 888-MAD-DOG-6, 888-623-3646. So that's game 6 as we look ahead. We'll get you set up for the rest of it. We do have a little bit of time to work into these games tonight as the Knicks Celtics, or Celtics Knicks as it is in New York, does not start until 5 o'clock. So we've got 50 minutes there, people. And then NHL on the ice, the Maple Leafs at the Panthers. Now, look, Toronto couldn't have played worse last time out in Game 5. I mean, it was at home, blanked completely. I mean, no movement as far as the puck. The tougher team was Florida, and Florida's the best team in the East. And it's indicative of the number right now. FanDuel's up to 220 on Florida, plus 180 coming back the other way. Now it's a 5.5 number. You're going to see 5.5 for the most part at this point in the postseason because it becomes a defensive game. But Florida's a big-time favorite looking to close out the Maple Leafs tonight. My assumption is they will do so because they are the better hockey team. And then they will take on the Carolina Hurricanes, who put to bed a beautiful season. I mean, it was a nice season from the Washington Capitals. The Capitals were outclassed, and they're sitting in our nation's capital, but they were outclassed last night, and they were outclassed in the series. Carolina's a good team. Are they a great team? I don't think so. Is Florida a great team? They're close. Florida's very, very good. They're getting goaltending. Their offense is relentless, and they're laying a price tonight to meet up in the Eastern Conference there with the Carolina Hurricanes. And outside of that, you had the Jets last night blank Hellebuck all of a sudden starting to look like the best goalie in hockey. Blank the Stars at home 4-0 last night. So this one returns to Dallas tomorrow night for Game 6 with the Stars up 3-2. So that's where we stand as far as that's concerned. Now, last night, as we continue, just to kind of set the table for you, last night we've got to give the Nuggets props. And it looked early on, and I had this one completely wrong, although I did take the over on Adam Shine Show, Make It Rain on VSiN, which is just an eminable broadcast corporation. I did take the over there, and we hit that. But we did tell you on the show we liked Oklahoma City, and Oklahoma City got their asses beat. And Dustin, when he gets a chance, he's going to go long-winded, but he's going to tell you, just like everybody else, I didn't believe in this Oklahoma City team because I don't know if they have enough experience and enough scores when it matters. Well, he might be right, because last night, it's not a great look. If I'm going to kill the Knicks a couple of nights ago, you got to kill what happened with Oklahoma City last night. Oklahoma City was up 3 at the break, and they came out and they got pummeled. Outscored 32-21 in the third and 29-25 in the fourth. And Denver, a 119-107 win over Oklahoma City to force a Game 7. Now, you're going back to Oklahoma City where that is a legitimate home court advantage. But I will say this. Even with the home court advantage, in a Game 7, who do you trust? Do you trust Gilgeous Alexander, or are you going to go Jokic? Jokic wasn't great in the game last night. Did look a little, I guess you would say labored, although he's in better shape than you think. But you know what his averages are? His averages are 29, 14, and 9. You know what he got last night? 29, 14, and 8. Because that's what he does. He's leading everybody in points. He's leading everybody in rebounds. He's leading everybody in assists. He's leading everybody in steals. Yeah. Overrated. Overrate this. He's the reason they forced a Game 7 against a much better basketball team in Oklahoma City. Murray was good with the stomach or whatever he was dealing with. Christian Braun is turning into a pretty freaking legit number 4. Christian Braun, 23 points, 11 boards. He's not a very big kid. He's white, whatever that means. Cancel culture's over, people. I'm white too. Porter Jr., 10, nothing. Gordon gave you nothing, and you still won the basketball game. Now, your boy Strother came off the bench. Who? Huh? Strother? Yeah, you never heard of him, but he gave you 15, and he was a big part of the reason why Denver has forced a Game 7. So we've got a player coach, because if you think that goofy-looking Adelman, Rick Adelman's son, is coaching this Nuggets team, I got another thing for you. That is Jokic's team. He's coaching, he's general managing, and he is the best postseason performer we've seen since Michael Jordan. And that's what he's doing right now. Is we got a Game 7 coming up in Oklahoma City, Denver. So that's where we stand to start the program. If the Knicks lose, ... fill in the blank. 888-MAD-DOG-6, 888-623-3646. Outside of that, we've got, I mentioned the PGA. We've got Matt Moore joining, Jeremy Plonk to talk about the Preakness. Some NFL win totals. I know Dustin picked a couple of them. I picked a couple of them. Seems to be some quarterback drama, and I'll give you the news right now as Brock Purdy and the long-awaited nightmare. And I call it a nightmare because if you're in my position, which is being stupid and talking into a microphone about sports, but if you're in my position and you bring up Brock Purdy, there's a good chance you'll get murdered. Because if you didn't know, well, I should tell you, Brock Purdy's Joe Montana up in San Francisco. Like, if I were to even question the merits of Brock Purdy, if I were even to say he's not in Josh Allen's league, I will have people lined up in Hermosa Beach ready to slit your boy's throat like it's King Henry V. Take him to the galley. He's Brock Purdy. He's basic, but he got paid. Here's the contract. Breaking news, the 49ers and quarterback Brock Purdy agreed to terms on a 5-year, $265 million contract extension, including $181 million in total guarantees. I can't do the math really quickly. Sounds like a lot of money for Brock Purdy. On a football team that is coached by an overrated coach in Shanahan, Tonat, a team that has lost Debo and a lot of other pieces. They've got a soft-ass schedule coming into the year. They fell off after coming out of the Super Bowl loss the year before. They gave you nothing last year, and the expectations are sky high. My assumption is they're favored in that division. Why? Why are they favored in that division? Because if you look up the term top-heavy in the dictionary, you're going to find the San Francisco 49ers. They don't go deep. And they don't go very deep at quarterback, and it starts with Brock Purdy. I'm just playing. No, just don't. Come on, please. It's Friday. We're having a little fun. He's fine. He's good. He's pretty good. He's okay. He's a system quarterback. No. I mean, he's great. Brock Purdy, anyway, he got paid. So the long-awaited nightmare is done. Extension for Brock Purdy. We can stop talking about it. Thank God. Because if I had to talk about Brock Purdy one more time, he is Mr. Irrelevant, as you know. And to me, he's more relevant than his draft position. Got the big guy laughing. Oh, the big guy's never been in a position. All he does is talk. You ask his girlfriend. He goes home to recap of the show. He texted me before the program started. I don't think I'm going to be available for the first segment. Isaiah, our producer, you're going to have to give it a go by yourself in the first segment. Kid, I've been doing it for 25 years. He just showed up 10 minutes ago. So I think I could carry it. All right, I could clown him for 3 hours and we'd get through it. And he knows it better than anybody. Over there laughing with his big cheesy smile. Are you good? You want to give me a thumbs up or a thumb down? No? All right. That's okay. Somehow, some way, with God's will, big guy. You know it. But when you come in, I know you're going to have a Knicks tape that's going to shock us. So let's go. Let's get to the calls. I like punishing them. This is torture. I mean, if you think about what we do, we have the egos that we're like, oh, I want to grow up and talk for a living, and everybody's going to pay attention. First off, there's like 2 people in this industry that actually have something to say. Me and Chris. No, I'm just playing that. No, I'm just playing Chris and Shine. Outside of those 2, the rest of us, we're just trying to get by. They call them gas bags. Think about it. I do the same job as JT the Brick. Oh, I love it. Let's have some fun, people. Loosen up on a Friday. 888-623-3646, and we'll start with Mike in Orlando here on VSiN Live. Hi, Mike.
Hey, buddy. How
Hey.
are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. So I just wanted to call in because you were just talking about Brock,
Yeah.
Mr. Purdy, and I think he's like the Kurt Warner of the NFL. And, yeah, he got paid, and he'll have to prove himself this year, but I think he will. And I really believe that he's a consummate player that is in the NFL because he deserves to be there.
I don't disagree. I'm probably a little hard on him, to be honest with you. I feel as though he's a system guy, but he has performed well. And if you're a Brock Purdy defender, you got plenty of ammo to come at me because he's been good in the postseason as well. So sometimes you got to go eyeball on this stuff. And when I'm watching, I'm not overly impressed. Isn't the word? I'm just not enthused when I watch Brock Purdy. But that's not the only answer. So again, I'm willing to admit as I get older, I'm willing to admit to right my wrongs. I'm willing to admit I could be wrong about Purdy. And Purdy has an opportunity now. I don't think he's the type of dude that's going to feel pressure having gotten paid. I don't think he was playing the way he was playing because he was working towards a contract. That does not seem like the merit of the kid, like the medal, like.
I see you talking, Dustin. I can't hear you.
Isaiah, you're talking directly to me, homeboy. That does not seem like Brock Purdy, but I think I could be hard on him. You guys could convince me, and I know David in San Francisco is going to convince me why Purdy's worth the cash. Hi, David.
I'm not going to do that.
Oh.
I don't think he's not worth it or worth it. It is the market. I've always thought Trevor Lawrence was kind of trash, and he got the money. And so just because he was picked first and this guy was picked last, we're past that point. But I'm surprised that the team kind of saddled up because they're an aging team, and now you're giving money to this guy. I actually met his agent in December. I happened to be in Florida, and he was in Florida, and I bumped into the guy. And we started talking, and he was like, yeah, he's going to get over $50 million. And I was like, well, I didn't know it was his agent at first. And I was like,
Right.
oh, that's crazy. Who would pay that guy? And the guy goes, well, I hope someone does because I'm his agent. And I was like, oh. But nevertheless, it's like what I've always said about him watching is like, look, Daniel Jones had a moment where he was good, then he got hurt, then he wasn't that good. But I was always like, look, if Brock Purdy was on the Giants last year, the Giants aren't making the playoffs. They're not much better than what they have. He's not like far and away above. If he was on Seattle last year, they're not better or different than what they were last year. Maybe a little better. He's not a guy that is going to win you anything. He won't lose it for you, so to speak, but he's not going to be the reason you win. You're just hoping he's the guy that doesn't mess it up like Jimmy G was, but I don't think he's that different than Jimmy G.
I agree. By the way, you had the inside scoop, David. His new contract is going to pay him an average of $53 million a year. His agent literally told you he was getting him $50 million.
I couldn't believe it. I was sitting at a pool. He was a friend of a friend. They both went to Michigan. We started talking, and then I said to the guy he was wearing a Brock Purdy T-shirt. I turned to my wife. I go, "Who wears a Brock Purdy T-shirt?" And Florida. And then I started talking about him, and then I made this kind of offhand comment that he wasn't that good, and then he walked away. He's like, "I hope he does. He's my agent." I met up with my mutual friend in a text column. He's like, "Dude, you're such a jackass." He's like, "That's his agent." I was like, "Oh, my bad." Well, I'm sure the agent's happy.
Hey, you could afford a Brock Purdy T-shirt too if you're about to put your kids and your kids' kids through college off of one contract like that agent did. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, pretty much. Yep.
That's incredible.
All right, have a good Friday.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate you. All right. Yeah. It's here's one thing, David, or maybe it was the gentleman before. Let's just be very clear about what this is. Unlike many other industries, it's just next player up. It literally comes down to, are you next as a quote-unquote franchise quarterback to get paid? If it's your turn, you're going to get paid based on the market. When I balked at, I must have lost my freaking mind when I said Purdy wasn't going to get $50 million. All you have to do is average the other starters, and when his time is due to get paid, if the team deems him to be a starter, he's going to get the market value. It's not like other industries. It's not like broadcasts where they can turn around and just say, we're going to pay you much less. You suck, and we'll put – no. There are 32 people on the planet. I like to look at like this with quarterbacks. Maybe you'll disagree with me. I think there are 8 that are amazing. I think there are another 8 that are really good, and I think the rest of them are basic. Now think about what I'm telling you. There are 7+ billion people on the planet, and there are 8 that do one thing amazingly well. They deserve to get paid. 888-MAD-DOG-6, 888-623-3646. One more, then we'll come back and kind of reset. We'll start to get the bets in. We'll get the big guy in, and we'll get situated for, I think it's going to be a compelling game tonight. Madison Square Garden, it's going to be fascinating. If MSG is tight, like you can hear the assholes, or if it's, hey, nothing to lose, let's go. We've got the better team, no Tatum, this is ours. You're going to get a vibe from MSG, and you're going to be able to tell early how they're reacting. I got you, big guy. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to introduce you properly. I'll take a quick, I got you back. David, LA. Hi, David.
Hey, Patrick. Hey, Dustin.
Hey.
Thanks for taking my call. The news of Brock Purdy getting paid today doesn't surprise me. The amount also doesn't surprise me anymore. But I do want to say this. At some point, these quarterback contracts have to come down, don't they? Because we're getting to a point now where, we're just basically throwing money at these quarterbacks because the market dictates that we're supposed to. Trevor Lawrence got paid, and then Jordan Love got paid based on half a season. And their contracts are already astronomical if you compare what they're making with other positions. I get it. It's the market, and I get that. If you don't pay a guy what the market says he should be worth, he's going to take that as an insult, even if it is an astronomical amount of life-changing money. But these quarterback contracts need to cool down at some point, right? It's almost like, seeing the CEO make 5,000 times the janitor. Are they really worth that much more?
When you scale it out, you're not wrong, David. Look, see, this is why the NFL is so fascinating and compelling. I'll always stand on the Trevor Lawrence, though I might start to lose that battle. We shall see this year. I always stand on 10 toes with Trevor Lawrence, and then for some reason I'm not there with Purdy. You could argue if you're a Purdy backer, he's outperformed Lawrence in the postseason. We go eyeball. We have fun with it. That's what makes this fun. 888 Mad Dog 6, 888-623-3646. Okay, we're going to come back, get you caught up, PGA. Also get our bets in for the Celtics at Knicks Game 5. Again, that number 2.5 jumped up to 3 at a couple of shops, and we'll introduce the big guy as the connection is good. Where is he? Where in the world is Waldo? Is he at the Wynn? SiriusXM Studios down in Vegas? Is he at the passport office? Is he in Palm Springs? Is he in the LA studios for Los Angeles? Or is he in his apartment with Dwight Gooden in Las Vegas? We'll find out next. It's VSiN Live. Mad Dog Sports Radio.
This is VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio with Patrick Meagher and Dustin Swedelson. Covering the spread all night long. This is VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio. Here's Patrick Meagher and Dustin Swedelson.
I like how people are like Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown's averaging 21 and 28% from three in the series. Everybody, it's not Jaylen Brown. It is Derek White. And just quickly, before we get to the big guy, he's got a big, good play on Derek White potentially with a long number. VSiN is on SiriusXM Channel 158. Get 24/7 sports betting coverage on Channel 158 and on the SiriusXM app. And as an exclusive offer for SiriusXM listeners and Mad Dog Sports Radio listeners, you can get VSiN Pro access through August 1st for just $19. I'll tell you what, it's worth it to go to VSiN.com/subscribe right now for $19 to get tomorrow's Preakness card. Because, like we said before, Samich made you over $1,600 on the Super in the Kentucky Derby. Go to VSiN.com/subscribe. Use the promo code SIRIUS to lock in this special offer. VSiN, the Sports Betting Network, as we welcome you back. VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio. Dustin Swedelson, I'm Patrick Meagher. Isaiah's New York. Ryan Smith, Vegas. And the big guy, Los Angeles. I know that was painful. I'll get out of the way. The floor is yours. But that must have been hard to not be able to talk.
I have a lot to say because Kyle Shanahan just signed his obituary. What are you doing paying Brock Purdy? I know everyone thinks you're supposed to pay the quarterback when they're due, and I keep hearing people. I just heard a caller say it when I was sitting here not able to speak. That was like being in a coma. It's the hardest thing ever. You hear everyone going on around you talking, and you can't do anything but wiggle your fingers. Brutal. But everyone says that this is the market.
Wiggle.
Hold on. This is the market? This isn't the market. Tell me who's signing Brock Purdy. If he hits the open market and everyone is available to sign him, tell me what team needs a quarterback and is paying him $55 million. The Jets? The Saints? The Saints can't do it. They don't have the money. Steelers can't do it. They don't have the money. There isn't a team that was going to pay him $55 million. So I keep hearing, well, this is what you pay a quarterback. Well, why wouldn't you just offer him less and say, kick rocks if you get a better offer? He is not that special. He's a product of the Kyle Shanahan system. And we've seen as players have gotten hurt and haven't been available, they've gotten worse. He's also benefited from a defense that has been dominant over the last few years. This defense was in total defense in 2023, 8th. Points per game, 3rd. Total defense in 2022, first in both those categories. He was a game manager who had all the weapons around him. Now he's taking up $55 million of the cap space for this team, so he no longer has the quality of defense or the weapons around him to be the guy he's been the last few years. This was a massive mistake, especially when you factor in a guy in Sam Darnold, who is more talented, could have put up these numbers in this system for $37 million.
I don't even know how to have the Darnold v. Purdy conversation. It does feel like, based on pigmentation as well, just the Spider-Man pointing at each other.
Okay.
How about this? I'll say this. I don't want either of them.
But there's an $18 million difference in them. Is there an $18 million difference?
The chasm is, I completely agree. He is not $18 million worth. In fact, I don't know how to differentiate them. You're going to get murdered, though. You're not allowed to say bad things about Brock Purdy.
No, I know, because it was definitely him. It was not the best running back in the league. It was not 2 Pro Bowl wide receivers. It wasn't arguably the second or third best tight end in football that he was throwing to. It wasn't this very QB-friendly, run-based system where he just didn't have to make mistakes with the football. 100%. Brock Purdy elevated everyone. It's over.
Let's plant our flag. I don't even think they're a playoff team.
The division's getting too tough. The Rams are going to be better. They had money to play with. By the way, win total team we'll talk about later, the Arizona Cardinals, look out, because Jonathan Gannon is getting dudes that fit what he did with the Eagles over there now. They're a scary team to me.
They're an injury. San Francisco, I know you heard it, but they're top end. They're an injury away from absolutely fading, whether it be the tight end, whether it be a wide receiver. They're expecting the kid that got stabbed essentially to be wide receiver one. Like, there is – McCaffrey, you can trust at 30. You can trust his health status moving forward. Stop it.
Couldn't trust him at 27.
An offensive line that got worse last year. Stop it.
Trent Williams, who's like 40 years old. I don't see it. And by the way, last year was the first year where injuries finally affected them. They had been on the right side of injuries. The team is getting older. Therefore, they're going to get hurt more. This is the end of this run for San Francisco. I know they have a really easy schedule. I don't see how you put out a product that they've been used to up there in San Francisco when you're giving Brock Purdy so much of this money. He is now the 7th highest paid quarterback, paid the same amount as Jared Goff, $53 million.
Well, don't bring me into that conversation. Okay, so before you answer, because I'm sure you know it, let me just throw this out there. What do you all believe the season win total is for the San Francisco 49ers? So again, if you don't know what that means, the books say we're going to give you a number, and you say, well, the 49ers are going to win more than that number or less than that number. Do you know the answer? Because I won't give it if you do.
I do know the answer.
It's 10.5. So you're saying yes, they're going to win 11 or more, or no, they're obviously going to win 10 or less. Very much take the under. Very much.
It's not the same team. They just don't have the weapons. And now look what happened to Brock Purdy when guys went down. Remember that game in Baltimore when he was asked to throw them to a win a couple years ago? I believe it was on Christmas Day. He threw 3 interceptions. He fell apart. He doesn't elevate those around him. And I know we look around the league and people go, well, you have to pay the guy if you believe he's a franchise quarterback. And people are going to list off all of these stats. His first year, 13-4, lost in the NFC title game. Second year, 12-5, won the NFC. That wasn't just because Brock Purdy showed up. That's because they had a roster in place ready to contend for Super Bowls, and they plugged him in because they had a bunch of injuries at quarterback. He ended up being good. I think he's a great story. He is a Disney movie playing out in front of our eyes. I think he's a good quarterback. But I think in a salary cap league, tying up all of that money, you cannot put out a product with a guy who can't elevate other people around him for that much money.
But we do have breaking news.
Oh, no.
VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio. We have breaking news.
Oh, no.
Stephen A. Smith on ESPN is interviewing Ben Stiller.
Oh, this rules.
It's over. You want to go on a journalism rant? Feel free.
Well, I mean, he is a reporter. Remember those drops.
It is over. You know that wasn't me disparaging Stephen A. That's not me disparaging. But when he does that, I'm overly serious thing. It's funny.
Yeah. Why is he talking like he's at a funeral?
Yeah, like why is he whispering? I understand his theater because he's gonna ramp up. Okay, I wasn't born yesterday, but it's just funny when they go to him and he's so mean mugged.
And he's dialed in, eyes wide open,
just angry.
Very deliberate.
He is a performer. I am a performer.
Well, look, Ben Stiller, something about Mary was a classic. I mean, it was like 30 years ago, but it was a classic.
Yeah, but and important to get his take on the Knicks for sure. Just some 20 minutes before the game starts. What's the matter? PJ Carlissimo isn't there? Can we get somebody that knows basketball? Who's next? Kylie?
Is David Spade at the game? Can we get his thoughts? Stars of the 90s.
They both. And here's more breaking news. Both Stephen A. Smith and Ben Stiller look uncomfortable.
Yeah, and Stephen A. Smith's not that much taller than him. I think that's the breaking news I have here.
All right. Well, 8-8. So I like your take on Purdy, but we can all agree it is just all about being slotted. And he was going to get paid if the 49ers believed in him. I think your notion, if he had tested, I think what he would have gotten paid would have been very fast. Now, how about this? I'll be Larry from Kentucky. What's up, boys? Who's better, Dak or Brock?
That's the debate. That is 100%. By the way, Dak Prescott is still the highest paid quarterback in the NFL, $60 million per year.
And that was the one for years we battled on the rap with people about you can't pay Dak Prescott. And it's an incomplete since the contract, but you had to pay Dak Prescott. So the 49ers would turn around and say, we had to pay Brock Purdy.
If Dak Prescott played in this system with that defense, Dak Prescott would win MVPs. I don't know what we're talking about here.
He's polarizing, and that's where you have to appreciate Purdy because he is polarizing. Let's do this before we get to more calls on Purdy. Let's get quickly back to the Knicks. You heard my conversation. I can't give you 20, 25 years. I don't even know the number. But they haven't had a game like this with this much pressure in a long time. And you understood my assessment. They're 2.5. That means the books think the Celtics are the better team sans Tatum. Facts.
Yeah, and by the way, the Knicks have lost their last 5 series clinching games at Madison Square Garden. So they don't do well in this spot with a chance to win and move on at home. I think the pressure is the topic of conversation here because the roles have been reversed. Everything's been flipped. The Knicks went from punching up, kind of having a free roll with no one expecting them to beat the Celtics, to now the Tatum injury, no one expecting Boston to advance. And now they're the ones getting hit by a team in Boston that's playing kind of free, playing loose. They're moving the basketball better. They had a ton of assists the other night, and that's scary. Boston's 10-2 on the year without Tatum. They play better as a team without Tatum. I'm not saying they're a better team, but they play better team basketball. And if the Knicks lose this one, game 7, man, does that get tight. I don't know how they go up to Boston with all that pressure and Boston feeling like no one expected us to be here and we're doing it without our number 1. I don't see how the Knicks win game 7. That's why tonight is so big. They have to take care of it right now.
If we go back to Boston for a game 7, the loosest team in the history of the NBA will be the Boston Celtics, and the tightest team in the history of the NBA will be the New York Knicks. That might be, with how weird and mercurial this Knicks team is, that might be where they just turn it on in game 7. But if they're worth anything, you close out the Celtics tonight. We all agree with that.
Yeah, and let's also try and evaluate what we saw in game 5, because Jaylen Brown, Derek White, Luke Cornett has the game of his life. And a couple things play into that. One, the fallen star theory. Tatum goes down. Everyone else is energized with opportunity to prove themselves. They have a chip on their shoulder. But more importantly for the Knicks had never faced Boston without Jason Tatum in the lineup. They did not know what they were going to see. Now they finally saw how Boston plans to operate without Tatum, and they can adjust. Okay?
I see you working, bro. I actually like that take.
Secondly, what we see with Denver last night? The role guys, the secondary options, they play better at home. Well, OG Anunoby can't be worse than he was in game 5. So you'll get more out of him.
You're very close to squawking about that Oklahoma City team. So get ready.
I don't get to unless they lose game 7. That's the problem. I can't do it if just going to a game 7 isn't good enough for my argument. This is where my argument.
That second half from Oklahoma City last night was pitiful.
You can't let Julian Strawther beat you.
Who is Julian Strawther?
I looked him up.
Apparently, is that Villanova?
He went to Gonzaga. I don't remember.
Never mind. Oh, I actually do. I think he might be from Vegas.
Oh, you know what? I think you're right.
I think he might be from where you live in Vegas.
That's a good call.
For some reason, that's starting to pop, like, in my mind. I think he
is.
Literally.
He is.
Is he? Yeah. Okay, that's who it is.
That's a good pull.
Well, he stinks. So yeah. I remember him at Gonzaga. He was fine at Gonzaga. He won the game for the Nuggets last night.
And my point is, for tonight, this is where guys like Deuce McBride play better because they're comfortable at home and the crowd's on their side. This is where Bridges could potentially play better. I also think if you look at how the matchups went, if we're going to get nerdy with the X's and O's, Drew Holiday was on Karl Anthony Towns a lot because they went to a smaller lineup, Boston, to try and get more points. They need to abuse that tonight. Karl Anthony Towns needs to have a monster night, but he needs to have a monster night. He needs to put his elbows to the rim and play like a 7-footer.
Literally, I thought you broke Hart's eye socket. Can't Towns break somebody's face? Not saying that he should, just saying that he should.
He's just too zesty.
He is so zesty.
You know what he
is? He's sassy.
He is.
He's so sassy. Stop being sassy and be a freaking man. Step up, dude. 888-623-30. Speaking of Stephen A. Smith, sassy. 888-623-3646. If you're on hold, we'll get to your calls next. VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio. Big night.
This is VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio with Patrick Meagher and Dustin Swedelson. Covering the spread all night long. This is VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio. Here's Patrick Meagher and Dustin Swedelson.
Purdy got paid 10 minutes until Celtics Knicks. Tony in Dallas joins us, VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio. Hey, Tony.
I have the perfect comp for Purdy, but let me just mention Strother, yes, Gonzaga, and also Nembhard, and remember Jalen Suggs. I got to tell you, Mark Few has put out, that class that went to 2 finals in a row. I mean, Drew Timme never got drafted. He was there, a college player for like 9 years. But he puts out some guards, and I think Andrew Nembhard has definitely,
Nembhard,
he's definitely improved.
Yep.
Nembhard, yeah, he's definitely improved this year. So I wouldn't say that. And my comp for Purdy, it's perfect. When you have to go far back, it's Alex Smith. I mean, Alex Smith was the best, franchise quarterback that he really wasn't going to win you a lot of games. He also wasn't going to lose you a lot of games. And you surrounded him with uber talent. And that's exactly what they're doing with Purdy. And like you said, you have to pay the slot. You have to. But you're not really expecting Purdy to go out and take you and put you on his back and take you to a Super Bowl, win your Super Bowl. You're going to surround him with what you expect to take you to a Super Bowl and win your Super Bowl. I think it's a great play for him.
No, you can't do that anymore, Tony. Because he's making $55 million.
Well, yes, he's making $55 million, but you know where they make that up? They make that up in the draft. And they make that up in making decisions and doing what Belichick did and getting rid of players 1 year too early before it's 2 years too late. So, I mean, look at their expectations already coming into this year. They draft well, you know that. They get max out of a lot of players that we've never even heard of. What's the little running back that came in for McCaffrey last year? Nobody even heard of that dude. So, I mean, it's the little running back, Mercado or whatever?
Oh,
no, not that
Jordan
one.
Mason.
Mercado.
Yeah.
Yeah, they traded Mason. Yeah, right. But that's my point. Like, the way the 49ers build is a lot like Tampa does the same thing. They build through the draft. They develop players. They win their division. And next thing you know, that you would take your team to be fighting to be in a championship game every season the way they are. And last year was an anomaly.
I think this year is going to be rough for San Francisco. I think they're top heavy. I think they're an injury away. However, Dustin and I are not necessarily Purdy believers. Mike in North Carolina is a Purdy believer. Hi, Mike.
Well, you guys need to take a breath, man. I mean, this hatred of Purdy. I mean, go back and look the last 3 years, and I'm not going to sit here and defend him. I think he deserves the contract, but I'll give you a couple reasons why. One is over the last 3 years, he's got a 104 passer rating, second only to Patrick Mahomes. Okay, you want to talk about the fact that they have great defense as well. How about the Chiefs when they were winning their Super Bowls? Did they have pretty good defense or what? Yeah, they did. Also, the offensive line for the 49ers has been dreadful, and yet he's overcome that. Why? Because he can move quick. He had the fastest short shuttle back when he was coming out, and that guy can quickly get out of a bad situation and make something out of nothing. And he showed that he could run too. So I think this hatred on him is. I'm not saying you're hating him. Right. I think you're just saying that maybe he's good, but he's not great, and that's been the kind of the mantra, right? And I can understand that he doesn't have the physical, variables that you maybe look for in a quarterback like say Josh Allen or some of the others. But I do think he's one of the best processors in the game, and I think the other testament to him why I think it's good is, Kyle Shanahan, had to sign off on this too, right? I mean, he had Sam Darnold in the building. He also picked up Mac Jones, which is really interesting, I think, right? That's going to be fascinating because, I think the 49ers, the way this contract is structured, and it's really $53 million. I think you said 55, but it's actually $53.1 million. He's the same as Tua. Tua's contract. But anyway,
I'll take him over Tua. Let me just say that,
Yeah,
Mike. I'll take him over Tua. There's
Yeah.
no question. I'm sorry to interrupt. Go
yeah,
ahead.
no, it's okay. But I was just thinking, he's been, he's been to the championship game twice. He got hurt against Philly. That was a horrible thing. I think they would have given him a game. And then he when he left the field in the Super Bowl, he was winning. And the defense, this great defense that we talk about, couldn't stop Mahomes. And the offensive line is so funny because juxtaposition here. The offensive line cost him the game because he let Chris Jones come in. He had to get the ball away early. If he would have if the right guard would have blocked Chris Jones just a little bit, there was a wide open touchdown, and the 49ers would have been up by 6 or 7 in the Super Bowl.
May I give you credit? That's the most compelling Brock Purdy call I've ever taken. I am about to look, wishy-washy, call me what you want. I'm mostly with you, and I said it before you jumped on. I think we could be proven wrong by Purdy. That doesn't mean I would have paid him. That's it. Mike brought up very many good points about Purdy. The shuttle I didn't know, the rating I didn't know. There's a lot good there, and he has played well in the postseason.
I don't hate Brock Purdy. I actually think he's a nice player.
Don't hate Brock Purdy.
I think that there's a lot there to like, but I would have paid him $30 million and said, go tell me someone else who offers you 55 and I will match it. Because in a salary cap league, I am strapped to put together a roster the second I pay my quarterback. Now, what I would also say, in 3 years, Brock Purdy goes from being quarterback number 7 in terms of being paid to maybe quarterback 13 because the next guy just keeps getting paid more and more. This is more of an issue with the economics of football and how these teams handle the quarterback position. It just so happens Brock Purdy is the one exposing it because he's just not special, and now he's getting $53 million.
You're telling me that companies pay talent more than they're worth? I don't believe you.
Leaving that alone.
I think you're lying. That's all I could say. I think you made that up. But Purdy's
solid. Purdy is solid. He is the perfect fit for what Shanahan does. Everything the caller said. The athleticism is like just enough, but he's still a thrower. If I'm tying up that percentage of money in my quarterback, I need him to make people around him
All
special.
things equal. Purdy or Goff?
Purdy.
Agreed. You know what? I'm starting to go Team Purdy because
I got one. Purdy or Baker Mayfield?
That's a good one. I'm a Baker guy.
I'm a Baker guy too. I think
these past 2 years from Baker have been awesome. Maybe the past 3 if I think about it. No, past 2. And Baker was great in the playoff game in Detroit.
Here is a worst case scenario for San Francisco. Purdy gets hurt.
20.
And Mac Jones fills in, and you can't tell the difference between Mac Jones on a vet minimum and Purdy at 53 mil.
My man Lombardi told me Shanahan was taking Mac Jones in the draft.
10.
At least there was no drama there. 888-623-3646. We've got Knicks hosting Celtics and Matt Moore, VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio.
Covering the spread all night long. This is VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio. covering the spread all night long. This is VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio. Here's Patrick Meagher and Dustin Swedelson.
VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio, the newsletter. It's free, no obligations. VSiN.com/newsletter. We're back. New York, 2.5, about to get underway, hosting Boston Game 6. It's just fascinating on so many levels. It really is. Dustin Swedelson, I'm Patrick Meagher. We're going to talk to our buddy Matt Moore. Nobody better when it comes to covering the NBA, specifically with the Nuggets, which we'll get to. Action Network NBA writer at HP Basketball. But we will start with our good buddy Matt Moore with this one about the tip in a little bit here. The Knicks are laying 2.5. Boston's in town Game 6. You tell me what you got here.
I like the under tonight. You know, these Game 6s tend to be under spots because it tightens up like a Game 7 because one team's at home. You tend to think that there's actually like a very good opportunity for them to be able to, buckle down on defense. We'll see. Either way, either the Celtics are going to regress in terms of shooting, or I think the Boston Celtics defense is going to once again tighten up because they've been actually getting it together more and more throughout the series. So I love the under spot here. I think it's an excellent play for an under. As far as the side, I got no play on the side on this game. It's too tough to try and figure out where Boston is at emotionally after the loss of Jason Tatum. So I'm sticking with the under and playing it safe with that.
Yeah, Matt, the Celtics aren't a better team without Jason Tatum, but can you help me understand why did it seem like they played better basketball overall without him in Game 5?
So a couple things. One, if you're the Knicks, you don't have a scouting report on this, right? Like, you don't know what a playoff rotation looks like for the Boston Celtics without Jason Tatum. You don't know what that looks like. You don't know how to kind of game plan for that. And a lot of it is that Tatum is their kind of primary initiator by leveraging the defense, but in order to make that work, he's got to take on more of an isolation possession opportunity. But the Knicks defense the entire season versus the Celtics team has given up wide open catch and shoot threes, just consistently over and over again. They've allowed those. Well, guess what Boston loves to do? Shoot, catch, and shoot threes. So that isn't changing. The question going in was, okay, without Tatum, they won't be able to kind of get all these catch and shoot opportunities because the Knicks can just kind of stay home. But the Knicks aren't going to do that. They're still going to try and pack the paint because that's Tom Thibodeau's defensive game plan. So there's an opportunity here, I think, for the Celtics to be able to get loose just by playing their normal offense and shooting these threes. And that gives them a huge edge because New York doesn't shoot enough this season. So that, to me, is part of the dynamic here, that if you're not predicated – they're not a Tatum-heavy team. That's not their identity. Tatum takes the most shots. He's the best player. He's awesome. But they're built around creating those three-pointers. And as long as they're able to do that, they got a shot to steal the series.
We saw that with Mitchell going Superman a few nights ago, and Indiana just kind of settling in with their depth and a step forward from Halliburton. What did you take from that Pacer win?
I think I mostly took one that Kenny Atkinson needs to really get back to the drawing board as far as his playoff game plans. I think the other thing that we kind of take away is, look, Indiana is just – they're always ready to punch all the time. They have hit first in every playoff series to start. They have hit last in every playoff series to finish. They have been at your throat every single possession. They do not back off. You can go up by 20, they're still coming at you. You're down by 15 trying to furiously come back. They're not playing prevent offense. They're coming right back at you. That relentlessness, I think, is the most impressive thing. If the Cavaliers, I think, were probably the worst coach contender in the playoffs, I honestly think that the Indiana Pacers have been the best coached threat to win the title in these playoffs.
Yeah, how about the two potential matchups with either the Knicks or Celtics? And I'm including the Celtics because I'm a Knicks fan, Matt, and I just know I can't have nice things, so I'm already anticipating this collapse. But if the Celtics advance without Tatum, can they still go past Indiana?
No, I think Indiana's got this. I really do. My numbers, after adjusting for Tatum, I give them a 3-point downgrade on power rating. I make the Indiana Pacers favorite over the Boston Celtics even without home court. The Celtics will probably be more live than what the market will think because they'll overreact to that Tatum news. And so we'll have to see what the number comes out as. But I still think the Indiana Pacers are going to win that series. Should the Celtics advance or the Knicks advance, I think Indiana is going to the finals as we stand here right now.
Our buddy Matt Moore, the Action Network NBA writer at HP Basketball. You know what he does for Denver sports and the Denver Nuggets in particular. The Denver Nuggets have forced a Game 7 against Oklahoma City. Be honest, are you shocked?
Not shocked. I don't think you can be shocked with how resilient the squad has been through the years. They do have the best player in basketball. Jamal Murray stepped up. Aaron Gordon's been phenomenal. They've gotten enough contributions. I'm surprised that OKC has been rattled as much as it has. They've gotten away from their game plan. They've gotten away from their play style. The fact that OKC only has one blowout in the series is really surprising. If you told me going in and went 7, I was like, all right, 3 OKC blowouts and 3 close Denver wins. But instead, it's been kind of split. Now, that's encouraging, I think, for OKC because they've managed to win a couple of the close ones. So they're learning how to close these tight playoff games. On the other hand, it's a really stiff learning curve against this team that's so good when it comes down to clutch time. So I'm not shocked that we're here. I'm surprised that OKC has gotten so far out of their comfort zone against Denver.
Yeah, Matt, and then a game 7 where, the Nuggets, they rely on the big fella. You've seen him do some special things. The last few nights, though, how different has he looked to you, or is this just more of the same from Nikola Jokic?
He figured this defense out, I think, in game 5. I think that's kind of the key here is that he really was struggling to figure them out. He could not solve them. He did not know how to kind of beat the scheme that they were running, but Denver was able to figure out enough, particularly by adding some new dimensions to how they were running some offense, using Aaron Gordon as a pick-and-roll ball handler creator, using Jamal Murray and guard screens. They showed enough to the Thunder to be like, we're not just going to run the ball at Jokic every single time, that OKC had to adapt, and that opened up things for Jokic. The other thing I think that they did really well, especially in Game 6, Denver, OKC is a heavy foul team. Because their defense is so good and aggressive, they do pick up a lot of fouls. And Denver was super physical with them in Game 6, and that got them into the bonus. So then when Jokic comes back into attack, Hartenstein has to back off and kind of play light coverage, can't be physical with him because he can't risk picking up another foul, and they can get into the bonus. So these little details are how Denver has helped Jokic kind of get loose in the series.
The number on Sunday, Oklahoma City laying 7.5. They brought that total down, obviously a game 7 down to 213. Does 7.5 feel right to you?
It's a little, I think, aggressive. I still think this is a little heavy. I make this 4, so it's still on the heavy side. One of the interesting things in these trends is that in Game 7s, when a team is coming off of a loss in Game 6 where they were up 3-2 and they're at home, the trend is largely kind of counterintuitive to what we see in the rest of the playoffs, which is favorites cover, dogs win outright. That's not really the case. In a lot of these Game 7 situations, the favorite does win the majority of the time, but they don't cover. And so that winds up with a opportunity here to maybe grab the points with Denver money line on OKC, because this does kind of feel like it might wind up as another close game environment where Denver just runs out of gas. It could also be an OKC blowout, though, because, well, we saw Game 2. OKC's got that in them, but Denver's been able to keep them out of that except for one game in this series. I think Denver on the spread, but OKC money line are both where the value is in this game.
Matt, Jalen Williams has disappeared for big chunks of time in this series. Can Oklahoma City win on Sunday if he's not a major factor?
I think they can because their defense is so good. Game 7s are so often ugly, rough games where one team just manages to make a couple threes. If they get a good performance from Caruso, Dort, Case, and Wallace, they can get away without a good J-Dub game. Everyone's kind of harped on his performance. It was really just shooting. He's getting good looks. He just couldn't knock him down. And there's a lot of talk about whether his wrist is bothering him. He still had a huge number of assists. So he's been creating for others in the series. Big J-Dub has been a huge difference maker defensively. He just can't hit a shot right now. But if he's still able to create good offense for them at home where role players play better, I think they'll be okay even if J-Dub doesn't have a good scoring game.
Okay, last question. We'll let you go watch the basketball game. Whether it be Denver or Oklahoma City, are you picking Minnesota over either?
Ooh, I will take Minnesota on the series spread line versus OKC because the books are going to kind of be trapped. They're going to have to go ahead and give a favorable number on Minnesota. So +2.5, +1.5, whatever that winds up at, I'll take that. Over on games, I'll be on Minnesota in Game 1 regardless. Teams coming off of a Game 7 are terrible in that next game typically. Denver bucked that trend, but I think it's likely for them to struggle coming out of this series versus Minnesota. If it's Denver, I'm going to be heavy on Wolves. I'm going to be heavy on Wolves title futures. I'm going to be on Anthony Edwards finals MVP. If Denver wins on Sunday, Minnesota's got a great path to its first NBA championship.
Well, It's a good era for the Moore family in Denver with this basketball team. It's amazing. The Action Network NBA writer at HP Basketball, Matt Moore. Go enjoy the basketball. Thanks for a couple of minutes here.
Thanks, man. Take care.
Okay. See ya. Matt Moore, who does Nuggets podcasts.
Yep.
He does. I was trying to think about that earlier when I was walking the dog. I'm like, I don't know if it would be more fun to be in a city that had a player like Jokic.
Yes.
I don't know if that makes sense, but
Yeah,
it's like
well,
if you were lucky enough to get a Jokic and then you just ride for him where there seems to be people coming at him. He lost to Embiid as far as an MVP, most likely going to lose to SGA as an MVP, which just gives you more ammo for your defense of him.
Also, the city matters too. If Jokic was in LA, right, where they're used to stars like that, they're used to buying them up, but they found Jokic, they developed Jokic. No one saw this coming, and he's the best player in the world. So I think that also plays a role in it. Matt Moore, when he was covering the team when Nikola Jokic was a rookie, I know he was not watching him in camp going, one day that guy's going to win multiple MVPs and bring a title to this city.
Have you ever driven through Colorado?
No, it's up there. It's up there on the bucket list.
I don't even really know how to explain it. Like, so Western Colorado, until you get to Denver, is like, am I in Switzerland? Am I in America? Like, it's beyond comprehension. It's really one of the most beautiful
rivers and green and mountains.
Just like a wall. So if you're looking, so I've done that drive a couple of times now, going from Vegas to my family in Michigan just by myself, and your front window, it's just going straight up in front of you. It's just trees and mountains, like and it's just it's absolutely breathtaking. It's gorgeous.
I've seen those overhead shots of Boulder showing like the campus of University of Colorado, where you can see like how it's like in this like valley type thing and the mountains above it, and it's super green. It's like in the fall, all the different colors are out. I feel like now they have state income tax and they have snow. Two things that I know you don't want to do anymore in life, but I do think you would vibe well in Colorado.
Yeah, I could, but do you know what's crazy about it? So, and we're just about to tip off. We have tipped off, but you know what's like ESPN, and no disrespect, they were showing the number as 3.5. There wasn't a 3.5 at any book in America.
Well, no, that's their book.
ESPN
right?
bet was 3.
I feel like people have pointed that out to me, that their numbers have been very different than the market.
Well, their number was completely different than every respectable book that I have right in front of me. So,
and on principle alone, then you take the 3.5, right? Like you just do it.
Karl Anthony Towns opens up with a bucket, so that's where we start. 2-0 Knicks. Just quickly, just to finish the Colorado thing. So once you drive to Denver and you're literally immersed in nature and hills and mountains and trees and rivers, and then you go east towards the plains, and the rest of Colorado, you'll never see a tree. You'll never even have any undulation. It's just straight, nothing but just straight flat country.
So you're saying the state is completely split. It's everything
it's
and then nothing.
It's literally the juxtaposition is crazy. All right, so that's your little latitude and longitude of Jokic's home state now. Although
topography,
topography. We say it's his home state, but if he were to win a championship, 17 seconds later, he's back in Serbia.
Yeah, and he's watching his horses.
Which is awesome, if we're being honest. So there it is. As much as you want to talk about basketball, and you know it because you were watching the call screen before, all people want to do is talk about a contract in the NFL.
Look, we do this whenever the next quarterback gets paid. It just so happens the quarterback that got paid this time is probably the most controversial of the quarterbacks we've seen have this happen to them in recent memory. I can't remember another quarterback where people are more split on, and football people will die on the sword defending Brock Purdy.
I know, but it's just, don't you think it's even a bigger, like, it is May 16th. There are more than 100 days until we see the NFL. And people are just like, somebody signed a contract? Literally means just he's going to play for that team, and people are like, screw game 6, I want to break down the contract.
No, Roger Goodell has taken your calendar hostage. He decides when there's moments where you can think about other sports, but not for too long. If it goes on for like 2-3 weeks, all of a sudden the NFL has more news for you.
Yeah, so the news is Purdy has extended, and Purdy's going to get 53.1 annually. So that's where we sit right now. And Dustin and I have come out on the side, not necessarily the biggest Purdy people. My man from North Carolina that called. I can't apologize, my man.
It was a great call.
Really was a good call because he broke down Purdy in a way that there are times Purdy is a mirage, because there are times where you watch him, you're like, oh yeah, I get it. And then there are other times with that 3-pick game in particular you brought up where you're just like, that's a pumpkin.
Yeah, but let's also remember, because the caller did bring up Kyle Shanahan approved this. No kidding. Him and John Lynch are in sync. You have to give them credit. Those guys are on the same page with what they're looking for.
Shanahan has more say than Lynch.
Yeah, but what I would say is there's also a reason why Kyle Shanahan can't let Brock Purdy walk. His job's on the line. There's pressure on Kyle Shanahan. Any change like that at quarterback would then lead to a bad season potentially, because you don't know what's on the other side, and then you get fired. That doesn't change the conversation that Brock Purdy, if he was a free agent, I can't find a team that was going to pay him $53 million. The New York Jets are the only one I can think of. The Giants just drafted a quarterback. The Titans just drafted a quarterback, right? The Pittsburgh Steelers don't have the cap space. The Saints don't have the cap space. I don't see Brock Purdy being able to do that. Why not change the economics of football if you're the Niners and say, Brock, we love you. We also found you. We also polished you. We turned you into this player. You're not getting 50. We're going to give you 30.
Because it's almost like a code where it's not a code for Darnold, because Darnold went to another team.
Yes.
It's a code that if you actually bring somebody in, draft them, and then you groom them, and their next slot is up as far as the market, they get paid that number. I don't disagree with your assessment.
Yeah.
I'm just saying it's almost like it's an unwritten code in the NFL. It's the Dak situation as well.
Well,
like
I guess the sport also has a lot of guys who like to hold out, and the quarterback can say, well, then I'm going to hold out if I don't get what the number one quarterback deserves. I'm up, pay me, I'll hold out.
Purdy still had a year left, correct?
Yeah, he had to play this season.
Yeah. They got it out of the way. And
I like
there's
him.
a lot. I know
He's
there's a lot of
fine.
Purdy love, so let's continue. 888-623-3646 as we do. Just a quick update in this one, 8:48 to play, 4-3. The Knicks lead. Brunson does turn the ball over. It's going to be a transition basket for Brown. So 1-point lead for Boston very early. This is going to be a fascinating game back and forth. Let's go to Wyoming, also God's country, and say hi to Chip. Hi, Chip.
How you doing, fellas?
Good.
It's funny. You guys landed on the exact number that I had in my mind. Just supposing you're Brock Purdy, they say we'll give you 5 years, we'll pay you $150 million, and take that other $25 million, get me the best, pay some linemen to protect me, and give us room to get our team better. It seemed like it would create some goodwill with the team, with the linemen that maybe get a few extra bucks, and I'll limp along with $150 million for the rest of my life. I understand about market value and stuff like that, but actually the number that was in my mind was exactly what you said. Take 30, be happy as hell, because how many people are getting $150 million in their entire lifetime? I understand there's not very many guys can do what he can do, but maybe the mentality is, not what the other guy's getting. The object is to win. Why not do that? 150 is a heck of a lot of money. I'll be okay. I don't need 250.
What's funny is, like, Chip, thank you. We always talked about, who was it, Brady, that would take less than market value. I got to be honest, I can't think of anybody else that's ever done it.
No, but it was also different for Brady. Brady won a bunch of his Super Bowls early when he was making nothing. So in order to keep his legacy up, that's the sacrifice he made. He could have taken all the money, though. No one would have faulted him for that.
But what he just said is so funny. It's like, nobody's going to give up the money. Nobody's going to spend the 150. Well, for the most part.
Sure.
But you understand. But again, I agree with you there, but there is just no way somebody's going to not take what they can get. And Purdy took what he could get. He got $53 million a year.
Here's
That's
where he
it.
stands. Here's where he stands. Dak is the highest paid quarterback, 60 mil. Burrow is second at 55. Allen, 55. Love, 55. Lawrence, 55. Then it drops down. Tua's at 53.1, Purdy 53, and Goff at 53. I'm going through the top quarterbacks in the league, and I'm trying to figure out where I slot Purdy in. I just told you who the top highest paid guys are. I don't have him any higher than 11, and I don't know if he's in the top 15. He's probably right around 15, but he's definitely not top 11 for me. And
7-0 run by the Knicks, by the way, quickly.
That's big. A couple turnovers.
Bridges just hit a 3 to take, and the Celtics took a timeout, 11-5. Go ahead. Finish.
And I have him at 11, but I don't know if he's 15. I think I have 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 5 others I could put on this list.
Oh, that's interesting. Let's do that. Not right now. Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah.
We're gonna have, so we're just gonna slowly build our court. This is what we do all the time, but it sells. Sex sells. So we're gonna do that. Just quickly before we do 704, 11-5, the Knicks do lead. They just went on a 7-0 run. And have we started? Yes, we've started down in Florida with the Maple Leafs and Panthers. The Panthers went off as a little bit over a $2 favorite. The Shanahan piece to it, to me, well, you know what I think about. I think Shanahan is impossibly overrated.
Well, what happened to his hubris? What happened to Kyle? Kyle Shanahan was a guy who once tried to win football games with Rex Grossman and John Beck. He believes in his system. He believes he can create quarterbacks. He believes he can create running backs. It's all about his system. So I'm curious, why wouldn't he bet on himself and find another Brock Purdy, a cheaper option that he can turn into a stud that can take you to an NFC title game?
Correct me if I'm wrong. Is the irony here that Purdy was in the same draft as the draft that the 49ers gave away their whole entire future to move up to grab Trey Lance, who I don't know if is in the league anymore? So can we chill with the Shanahan being this tremendous talent evaluator at the position?
Yo, he watched my man Trey Lance play flag football in North Dakota and was like, we're going to trade up for him and make him quarterback 1. What are we talking about here?
I just don't think that in that division. Now, you could tell me, and my assumption is they're the favorites. I think they're a house of cards. I think there's injuries. Obviously, we've seen it happen. McCaffrey, Kittle, the offensive line isn't very good. And by the way, to make this deal get done with Purdy, they moved on from Debo and they moved on from a couple of defensive pieces so they could clear the way.
Yeah, I think that's a big story, too. They're expecting now. Juwan Jennings did look good last year. Pearsall will TBD on him. I'll give Shanahan credit. I think he's very good at finding these diamonds in the rough, but then that goes back to then why pay Brock Purdy? There were cheaper options out there. There were alternatives where you could have saved that money, allocated it throughout the rest of the roster because you're so limited. You're in this title contention window. And I think by paying him, you've now hurt the rest of your roster. And it's a roster that needed to pick up Brock Purdy in the first place.
Maybe a hot take. I've seen enough. Pearsall is not special. Special?
No, I don't know about special. He did get, you mentioned it though. He did get stabbed
he did get
few weeks
stabbed
before he played.
Recovered quickly.
He did. You gotta give him credit on that too. Credit on that. I think he'll probably be a good receiver. Maybe not great. I don't know if they need a great one. Also, remember, Ayuk's going to be out for a big chunk of the year. Don't know when Ayuk comes back.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know.
Kittle's getting older. Williams is old.
Hargrove, they lost a couple of pieces on defense as well.
They lost a bunch of pieces on defense. They lost Greenlaw, the linebacker. There's another piece I'm missing that they
lost
two
big pieces, and I apologize, I can't think of it. But the point is,
Hargrave. You mentioned it, Hargrave.
The defense that had been carrying them, we don't know if it's going to be that defense. It wasn't last year.
No, that's the problem. Brock Purdy is the perfect guy when he's making no money, and because of that, you loaded up on defense. You loaded up on skill positions. You spent every penny of your cap to make sure everyone around him can carry your young quarterback. And Brock Purdy was amazing for what you thought you were getting, and then say he got better. He improved. But that doesn't mean he's a kingmaker. That doesn't mean he's a guy who carries your organization. And when you're going to give up this type of chunk of money to a guy at quarterback, he's got to be able to carry you when things are down. I know when everything is going right for the Niners, when everyone's healthy, when the weather is good, when it's the right matchup, Brock Purdy can look like MVP candidate. But can he be a quarterback when one or two guys are down, or your team's having an off week, or the game plan wasn't perfect? Can he find a way to find a win for you and elevate guys? I don't believe he's capable of that.
Can we, if as a Knicks backer, and I just laid the 2.5, can we not have a possession that ends up using 20 seconds of the shot clock with a top of the key 3 attempt from Josh Hart? We just not do that.
It's not optimal. But look, I think Luke Cornett's going to get exposed being on the floor more. That's one big thing that I'm seeing early on. He's already off the floor, and they have Porzingis in. How many minutes is Porzingis going to play? This is going to be one of the weirder stories ever, finding out what's going on with that guy.
Some sort of virus. Respiratory?
But it's been months.
I can't speculate.
No, you can't. You can't speculate. That's the thing. But it's weird that he's healthy enough to be allowed to play, but at random times he just
kind of looks like a donk out there right now.
I mean, he is a donk in general, though.
Here's Cat. Maybe Cat trying to show a little muscle, just like literally airballed.
And he complains for a foul every play. Dude, we get it. You got fouled. Ooh,
and can we chill? Can we chill with the circle of the finger in the air, because you definitely hack that dude and you want your coach to bail you out with the replay? Can we just play some
on every
basketball?
play? On every play?
You know, it's Karl Anthony Towns just took a crate. You're going to see it.
Why? He hit it.
He made it.
He hit it. Okay.
But there was an offensive foul on a pick.
He can't hold his emotions back when he doesn't like a call. It's fun to watch.
All right,
I want a cat cam.
Yeah, a cat cam. Zesty cam.
Brought to you by Zesty Cheez-Its.
Let's do this when we come back. Maybe we'll be proven wrong. We'll just start we're going to figure out where Purdy slots, because he is now the 6th highest paid player at his position in the NFL. Is he the 6th best quarterback? We'll find out when we come back. VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio.
This is VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio with Patrick Meagher and Dustin Swedelson. covering the spread all night long. This is VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio. Here's Patrick Meagher and Dustin Swedelson.
VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio. The Boston Celtics showing a little fight here. Let's pull up the in-game number, 14-13. But first, let me tell you, after Game 6 between the Celtics and Knicks, stay locked into SiriusXM NBA Radio, Channel 86 for NBA Radio post-game show for a full recap of tonight's matchup, expert analysis, and all the biggest highlights only on SiriusXM NBA Radio, Channel 86 in the car and on the SiriusXM app. So 16-13, Knicks lead, 3:05 to play in the first. What do we have as far as an in-game number?
Right now, Knicks laying 3.5, total 198, and a hook can go plus 130 with Boston minus 166 in the Knicks. And I did notice you stopped around the word analysis, which is a dangerous word to read off a script because the beginning part of it does just say anal, and then there's a couple more letters after that.
That's true. Denver Nuggets forward Aaron Gordon has been diagnosed with a left hamstring strain, and his status is in doubt for Game 7 against OKC. In Game 7, of course, there. ESPN is reporting, Shams is reporting, major development heading into that Sunday matchup. If they don't have Gordon, now I don't want to say anything because I've been wrong. I would say if they don't have Gordon, not much of a chance against Oklahoma City, but they do have Jokic. So
yeah, well, Gordon really didn't do a lot scoring-wise last game. However, while Christian Brown was awesome, you can't rely on that, from the others on Denver outside of Jokic and Murray. Gordon would be a big miss because he's a vet. He does a lot of little things. And if we're going to go on a player having like marquee playoff moments, he's had like 2 or 3 already in this one postseason.
Well, I will tell you that with the Shams tweet, that number has gone from 7.5 to 8.5 at a couple of shops. So bettors thinking that Gordon may not play, so they're backing Oklahoma City. That is that. So what we decided to do with the new contract to Brock Purdy, we decided to figure out where he slots. Okay, Dustin. So $53 million. He is the 6th highest paid quarterback in the NFL. Again, we understand the way it works. You're slotted. Your contract's up. Purdy was up, and he got paid today by the 49ers. So let's just do some quick ones here, and then we'll start to get down to business and mix in your calls. 888-MAD-DOG-6, 888-623-3646. Is he better than Lamar? No. Is he better than Josh Allen?
No.
Is he better than Joe Burrow? Oh, my God. No. Is he better? Is he better than Jaden Daniels? Can we stop?
No.
Okay. Is he better than Patrick Mahomes?
No.
Okay. Don't worry. Is he better than Matthew Stafford?
No.
Is he better than Jalen Hurts?
No.
Is he better than Justin Herbert?
No.
Right. Okay. Now, I'm just trying to get the big ones out of the way.
That's 8.
And then,
We're at 8.
Yeah. So now we can have a little fun. Would you agree?
Yes.
Okay, so now let's start debating, and don't worry, we're coming to the calls. We're going to have genuine debates moving forward. Is Brock Purdy better than Baker Mayfield?
No. Baker Mayfield is someone capable of throwing his team to victories. I don't believe Brock Purdy is.
Baker Mayfield threw for 4,700 yards and 43 touchdown passes.
Yes.
So the answer is no, he is not. Is Brock Purdy? Let me give you a good one. Is Brock Purdy? I'm going to get through them all. Here's one. Is he better than C.J. Stroud?
That is one of the ones I left up for debate, but I do believe the upside of C.J. Stroud is greater than the upside of Brock Purdy, so I will take C.J. Stroud.
I'm sorry. We have to take C.J. Stroud. Put it this way. All things equal, you are starting a team. Are you taking Stroud or are you taking Purdy? I think the most ardent Purdy backers are taking Stroud.
I think you have to think about it as I'm placing this quarterback into the Niners with the Shanahan system at the peak of their weapons, with CMC, with Ayuk, when they had Debo, when they were fully loaded. And the answer is Stroud.
Is he better than Dak Prescott? No.
Look, and I'm not even a Dak guy, but that's not even a debate.
Dak takes a lot of crap because of the team he plays for, but he's not better.
No, he can make so many plays.
Okay, I'll play the game. Is Brock Purdy – now, you know my answer. Is Brock Purdy – you're starting a team tomorrow. Are you taking Brock Purdy or are you taking Trevor Lawrence?
I knew this was the one. Trevor Lawrence over Brock Purdy every time. Trevor Lawrence hasn't been coached up yet in the NFL. By the way, Jacksonville's a team I want to talk about their win total because I think that their number is way too low. He's finally going to get coached up by an offensive mind. He had Urban Meyer and he had Doug Peterson. Let's give Trevor Lawrence a fair shot in the NFL with a guy who knows how to call offense. If you put Trevor Lawrence on the Niners, they would have a modern dynasty. They would challenge Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs for the Super Bowl every year.
Yeah, I would agree with you. To me, I don't even think about it. Trevor Lawrence, if you're starting a team, you're taking him over Brock Purdy. So now is where it starts to get interesting.
Those were the 12, by the way, that I had on my list, and then the rest we can debate. I agree.
Okay, Jared Goff or Brock Purdy?
I would actually go Purdy because I think Purdy's athleticism fits today's NFL better than Goff, but they are both similar to me.
I'm going Brock Purdy as well. The next one that is, I guess you could say questionable, not for me, Jordan Love or Brock Purdy?
That's close, but I think they're the same. I think it's the same thing.
But you're starting a team tomorrow, and you're the general manager. You're building a roster. All things equal, you have to pick one. Are you taking Love or are you taking Purdy?
I think Jordan Love has had to do more than Brock Purdy. I'll take Jordan Love.
I'm taking Jordan Love, and I'm not even really thinking about it. Next, we're making it interesting. I got two for you in a row. Is Brock Purdy better than Geno Smith?
That's a tough one because the age plays a role. But I do think Brock Purdy, I should get a lot of credit. It's a cross-racial comparison. I think Geno Smith might be the comp for Brock Purdy. Okay. I think they're very similar. I think if Geno Smith was ever in a system like Brock Purdy with that run game, though, I do think he could be special, but I'll take Brock Purdy in this one. The age matters.
All right, I'll defer to you. I'll say Brock Purdy. Is Brock Purdy better than Sam Darnold?
No. I think Kyle Shanahan's going to regret choosing Brock Purdy over Sam Darnold.
Darnold threw for 4,600 yards and 36 touchdown passes last year.
And he elevated the play of those around him, and now he's going to go to Seattle, and they're going to potentially make the playoffs right away. So Brock Purdy is a good player. Sam Darnold has the upside to be an elite quarterback in the league. That's the difference. What is the potential? If they max out their abilities, Sam Darnold can be what he was a year ago. Brock Purdy can't be that ever.
Now they had a ton of injuries, they being the 49ers. But Purdy in 15 games threw for 3,800 yards and 20 touchdown passes and 12 interceptions. Not even great. Not very good. 12 picks, 20. The touchdown to pick rate ratio, I'll say Sam Darnold as well.
He's a good quarterback.
Is Brock Purdy better? I got 3 for you right now that are bangers. Is he better than Tua?
I'm a Tua guy. You're not a Tua guy, so maybe we split the difference on this one. Say no, but I actually – the problem with Tua is health. When Tua's healthy, I think he's awesome. He has a great touch in the football. The problem is I don't think Tua should be allowed to play football anymore. That's where I'm at with him.
I'm going to give it to Purdy. I'm being nice. You're starting a team tomorrow. Are you taking Brock Purdy or are you taking Kyler Murray?
Could you imagine Kyler Murray in that San Francisco system with the ability to play off of Christian McCaffrey on the play fakes and dump it off to him, get some easy screens that he definitely doesn't get as much in Arizona? I think I go Kyler. I think because Kyler has a chance if someone ever really tapped his potential, he could be a monster.
I go Kyler.
So I believe we're at 15 quarterbacks, right?
I got 2 more. We'll add it up at the end. I got 2 more. No, I got 3 more. And then we can is Brock Purdy better than Drake May?
You know what? That was one that I thought about where I think Drake May.
You're starting a team tomorrow?
No, Drake May showed you something without any weapons.
I think Drake May could be special.
I I want to say Drake May. I do. But I think in this instance, because the body of work, we will give Purdy the benefit of the doubt.
Okay. Is Brock Purdy better than Bo Nix?
He is, but I don't like Bo Nix.
All right. I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. I would take Nix, but I'll give you Purdy there. Is Brock Purdy better than Caleb Williams?
No, that's not even a
come on.
conversation.
I don't care what anybody says. Caleb Williams was in the worst position possible. Purdy. So I think you can't use Cousins. He's just too old.
No, you can't use Rodgers.
You know what? I'll do one more. Is Brock Purdy better than Justin Fields? Yes.
Yes, he is. He's better than Fields. Trying to think. He's better than Tyler Shuck. He's better than Bryce Young. He's better than Michael Penix.
Our experiment is done. Then we'll go back to the calls. 12. So we have this many ahead. I've got this formula right here. We've got 13. We've got 14. We've got 15. We've got 16. We've got Brock Purdy as the 17th best quarterback in the NFL. That feels fair.
And he's going to make $53 million. Also, there is a chance that Drake May and Michael Penix Jr. are added to the list by the end of the season.
I didn't even bring up Penix Jr. I'm starting a team 12 out of 10 times with Penix Jr. over Purdy. That's just me. It's just me.
Dude.
But let's be fair, because we were kind of fair with a couple of those. We said Purdy's better than Drake May.
Yes.
We said Purdy is better than... There was another Gino. We were nice. We were fair. Goff was an MVP candidate last year.
I feel bad because I like Brock Purdy. I just don't like Brock Purdy at $53 million of my cap. That's all.
You've been proven right. The experiment, he is the 17th best quarterback in a league of 32. So by my math, he is directly mid.
And you're paying him elite.
But you had to. Don't add us. We know they had to. His contract. We get it.
It's what you do. You don't call the bluff. You don't upset the Players Association.
That you know what? That went about as well as it could for us, and not a great look for Purdy. Because I don't think we were harsh at all. Okay, I'll just put it this way. Lamar, Josh, Burrow, Jaden Daniels. I guarantee people would say take Purdy over Daniels, and then I would just stop. I would quit. I don't even know what to do. It's insane. Patrick Mahomes, Matthew Stafford, Jalen, Justin Herbert, Baker, Dak, and Lawrence. Those are 12 no-brainers. Then you get into – so at the very – literally at his top end, he's 13th.
And again, I'm stuck on the market thing. I'm sick of hearing people say, well, this is what the market pays. The market does not pay that because he did not test the open market. Tell me the team that was going to pay Brock Purdy $53 million. The only one I can name is the New York Jets. I don't believe they have the cap space to make it happen. The Browns can't do it. They have all that Watson money. The Saints can't do it. They're barely out of cap hell, and they got lucky that Carr and Ramchick retired. I can't find – the Steelers don't have the cap space. Who is the team that was going to pay him $53 million? Name it, because that is your market. It doesn't exist. Most of the league at this point in time feels good about where they're at quarterback. They either have the guy they believe they're winning with right now or the guy they're going to win with down the road.
888-MAD-DOG-6, 888-623-3646. We're not Purdy haters. We're Purdy realists, and we've got him 17th in the NFL. Very, very mid.
It's a compliment to Kyle Shanahan because it means he's gotten this much out of the 17th best quarterback in the NFL.
Take your Purdy calls and get you updated on that in-game number with the Knicks hosting the Celtics. VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio.
This is VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio with Patrick Meagher and Dustin Swedelson. covering the spread all night long. This is VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio. Here's Patrick Meagher and Dustin Swedelson.
VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio. We've got Jeremy Plunk at the top of the hour, Express Bet. We've got the plays. Just become a VSiN Pro, VSiN.com/subscribe. Use the promo code SIRIUS, and you get everything we offer for $19. That includes all of the Preakness plays. VSiN.com/subscribe, promo code SIRIUS. We made you, literally, people made a fortune off Samich and the Kentucky Derby. No reason for that to slow down. 888 Mad Dog 688 623 3646. So, I mean, the big story, obviously, the playoffs, which we should update you and we'll get right to your calls. So, right now on the ice, end of the first period, Maple Leafs Panthers. You got to give the Maple Leafs a little credit here as they're scoreless at the first intermission. The Panthers were big time favorites going into that one. The Panthers can close out that series as they do lead 3-2 tonight, then to take on the Hurricanes. Out west, Dustin, Edmonton awaits. Good showing by Winnipeg last night, to be fair. They force a game 6 back in Dallas.
Well, it's really helpful when your goalie, actually stops the pucks in front of him in Hellebuck. So, I mean, that's big for Winnipeg.
Yeah, which he had done all year as the Hart winner. And he's, and then he fell apart in the postseason.
Yeah, when he's willing to do that, usually good things happen for that team. I don't know, just wild concept. Stop the puck and you'll win.
They're showing the crowds outside of MSG.
Dude,
New York is lit right now.
How much anxiety would it be for you to be in the middle of that crowd?
Yeah, I know. Not happening, brother.
I'm with you.
That's a no for me, dog.
Why would you leave your couch where you have every TV angle, you have your snacks, and you can control the temperature, and there's a bathroom? I don't understand it.
I think psychologists would tell you and I be part of society.
Have you noticed society lately? Are you sure it's something you really want
to
be a part
No.
of?
I'm just saying what people would say.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not saying they're right. The Knicks lead by 13, and we were kind of talking about it during the break. I think you laid the 2.5 as well. This should be a game where the Knicks kind of nut up and just put away the Celtics. Let's see if they can. Let's go to Arizona and continue to talk about Purdy. We had him ranked around the 17th best quarterback, and he signed a average $53 million a year contract today. He deserved it. He was up, and the 49ers gave it to him.
Sure.
Let's say hi to Steve in Arizona. Hi, Steve.
Dustin.
Steve. Hey, what's up, buddy?
I got 2 quick points. Number one, Dustin said that Darnold lifts up those around. Does he lift them up, or did they lift him up? Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, Aaron Jones. Before he got there, what did he ever do to lift anyone up? See ghosts? That's my first point. Second point, you guys are stuck on the fact that Purdy was drafted in the 7th round because Tua was drafted in the 1st round. Nobody's saying, oh, he's taking up too much of the contract. If he had gone on the open market, who would have given him $53 million coming off his 53rd concussion? Same with Jordan Love. If he had gone on the open market, would he have gotten $53 million? I don't think so. I don't think anybody would have given him that kind of money on the open market. They got it because they were first-round draft picks. Because Purdy is a 7th-round draft pick, he doesn't deserve to take up that much of a cap space. He lifts up just as much of the people around him as Sam Darnold does. Sam Darnold was only as good as he was last year because if you look at the last 2 games of the season, he was garbage against the Lions and in that first-round wild card playoff game. He was garbage.
Yeah, he was terrible.
You're
right.
That's true.
No,
but
you're
also,
right. Darnold and Purdy is a conversation. We can at least.
Yeah. But I take Darnold. I think has a bigger arm. He also had a better year in less time than Purdy. I know he's been in the league longer, but he was a backup for a couple of years. In fact, he backed up Purdy one season. He threw for 4,300 yards and 35 touchdowns. Brock Purdy has never thrown for 35 touchdowns. Okay, that's all I'm going to say.
You know what? Maybe this is controversial. I think O'Connell's a better coach than Shanahan.
No, I don't. I think we are about to learn with J.J. McCarthy, who neither of us were high on coming out of the draft, that Kevin O'Connell may be the best offensive mind in football behind Sean McVay.
Like, I definitely trust O'Connell with a quarterback more than Shanahan.
That's fair. That's fair that they may have propped Darnold up and Purdy may be better than Darnold. But the fact that it's a conversation is why you don't pay Brock Purdy so much more, $18 million more dollars than you end up paying for Sam Darnold. That's the problem.
It's what makes this fun, people. It's what makes it fun. Like, I should have asked my man Steve. Like, you at least admit at the very best he's 13th because we had him 17th. But we can't argue the 12 that we put in front of him.
I'd give you 13. I would say 13 at the absolute highest, but I can poke holes.
15 feels like as good as I can get.
14, 15 would probably be the correct number. 14, 15.
We might be slighting him a little bit.
But again, the issue isn't Purdy.
I might take him over Darnold. I will say that. I might take him over Darnold.
No, there is a chance. There is absolutely a chance. But again, the issue isn't Purdy. The issue is the amount of money for Purdy. And just simply saying you have to pay your quarterback that next big contract because the guy before him got it, that doesn't make any sense to me. I know I didn't go to business school. I didn't take economics, but I don't understand that one.
Are you going to just to understand the contract? Are you thinking about going to business school or just going to sit that one out?
I mean, I got the easiest degree possible in broadcast journalism, and I did it mostly on the backing of a bunch of D's and D pluses. So no, I will not be going to business school.
I didn't go to business school, but the Knicks are up 38-24, and that's a 14-point lead.
Is that good?
7:02 to play in the second. You know what's important this weekend? Not the NBA.
20.
The NHL. Horse racing. That's what's important. And the Preakness Stakes. Pimlico. That beauty of a track coming up tomorrow. To talk about it, our buddy
10.
First Bet, Jeremy Plonk, is going to join us. It's VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio.
This is VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio. Covering the spread all night long. This is VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio. covering the spread all night long. This is VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio. Here's Patrick Meagher and Dustin Swedelson.
VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio, a 16-point lead with about 6 minutes to play for the Knicks. They closed 2.5, 3, and they're doing what we asked them to do before the game started. They're getting rebounds. They look energized after that listless performance in Game 5 in Boston. So you like that from your Knicks. Dustin Swedelson, I'm Patrick Meagher as we welcome you back. But we did say, and just quickly at the first intermission, the Maple Leafs at the Panthers, that's tied up at 0. We mentioned we've got the Preakness coming up tomorrow. Has it lost some of the luster without sovereignty? I would say we can talk about that as well with our buddy Jeremy Plunk. He's our go-to guy. We talk to him all the time. First Bet, horse racing handicapper at Horse Player now, of course, First Bet, Express Bet, the Preakness. So let's talk storylines before we get into the horses. Jeremy, great to see you. And has some of the, Mad Dog Chris Russo, he literally went on ESPN and crushed Bill Mott. Like, it's funny with the sport, which you've made your career, your life around, and then you get people like Chris who will dive in and talk about, the Kentucky Derby, the Preakness, the Belmont, and he killed Bill Mott for not running sovereignty in the Preakness. What has the take been within actual circles that know what they're talking about?
Well, I think for the most part, people in horse racing have taken the track that if they think that's what's best to do for their horse, then let them. But I think there's still a fair percentage, myself included, that would much prefer to see him run. There's nothing health-wise wrong with the horse. The reason he's not running in the Preakness in 2 weeks back from the Derby isn't because they think that's too tight of a time frame. It's because he's owned by the ruler of Dubai, Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum of Godolphin.
Whoa.
And he has a race called the Dubai World Cup, a $6 million race that's run next March. He wants to have the star horse for next March. Well, America and the sports world isn't waiting for next March, right? So it's your horse. You can do what you want with them, and they're not going to put him away until March. He'll run in the Belmont Stakes, but their long-range goals are long-range goals compared to what we would normally see with a horse coming right out of the Kentucky Derby. Coming out of the Kentucky Derby, usually your goal is to try to win the Triple Crown. So it's a guy who's got more money than just about anybody on the planet. He can do what he wants. He's got a big race that showcases all the tourism in his country and everything that goes with it. And he wants to have a great horse next March. So that's why we don't have a horse running in the Preakness Stakes from the Kentucky Derby this year. And sovereignty for his excellence that he was, in the Kentucky Derby, very well could have come right back and won this race. I mean, he was good enough to be a horse that you would talk about for a potential Triple Crown. He ran well enough. He and Journalism proved to be the two best horses in the class. Now we get one, we don't get the other. If Journalism wins, I've heard people in the industry say, what a great rubber match it's going to be at the Belmont. But then my question would be, if you had Journalism, why in the world would you run in the third leg? I'd take a little time off and go meet him somewhere else down the line. You don't need to run the 3 times in 5 weeks. There's no Triple Crown on the line. So, to me, I'm a traditionalist, but at the same time, I'm a realist. I'd like to see the horse there, and not just like to see the horse there. I think he should be there.
I have a follow-up. Let me just, because one, I want to say, Dog knows what he's talking about. I didn't mean it disrespectfully, but Dustin, you and I both know, we talked to Ron Moquette about the decision. Dog talked to Randy Moss on his program yesterday about the decision, and they both said this was the trainer's call. I believe it's the ownership's call. And everybody's calling and saying, see, Dog's right, you're wrong, Bill Mott's the reason. There has to be that. But you just said potentially it's the ownership. I think Mott would have run the horse if he was sound.
I don't know that Mott would, because it's not really in his MO to come back and run that quickly. Look, horses are treated with NSAIDs, the non-steroidal anti-inflammatories, like a lot of athletes would be after hard training. They get joint injections after hard training, but you cannot have those things in your system when you run back the next time. They're performance enhancers to be on race day. They're therapeutics after a race. Well, those kind of treatments do not clear a horse's system in 2 weeks. So that therein lies the new problem with the Triple Crown series, in that not the new Triple Crown series, the new way horses are treated treated, you know, medicinally and therapeutically is different than the way it used to be, or maybe in the way they used to reveal. You know, I mean, you can't turn back the clock and say everything used to be, you know, hay, oats, and water in horse racing. But the horses who need a little bit of help to come out of their exercise and recover quickly are the ones who are not being asked to come back to run in the Preakness. The one who can come back without needing any kind of extra therapeutic help to recover gets right back in it. Remember back in the steroid era when everybody would say, well, that guy's juicing, you can tell he's like bulked up, right? The Mark McGuire's, the Sammy Sosas. But then people would say, well, what about Andy Pettit? Right? Tall, skinny, lanky guy. He was juicing so that he could recover and stay in the rotation, right? So there is recovery ways of treating your body, and then there are inducing your body to do things that maybe other people aren't doing. But a lot of times, sometimes they're the same type of medications. And so if the horses can't recover as fast on their own and need help in recovery, they're going to be much less likely to run back quicker. The ones who can recover, and maybe that's when you look at the Triple Crown and say, it should be hard. You know, these horses should be able to do it in order to be a great champion and win all 3 races. Well, they also have the ability to recover, and that is an ability, right? They always say the best availability or best ability is availability, everyone wants to say. Well, what makes a great horse? Maybe one who can run a mile and a quarter and then come back and have the body to do it again. And some can and some can't.
I'm curious, Jeremy, just because everyone we've talked to is talking about journalism, and journalism far and away the best horse in the field. Why are we all assuming journalism didn't win the race, obviously came in second, and journalism looked great in the race, but journalism has to go through everything you just went through over the course of the last couple of weeks, return and race. Why is everyone assuming that that horse is going to be able to handle that back-to-back performance?
Well, in general, over the course of, you know, the last 50 years, about 90% of the horses did. You know, so if you're going to look at it statistically, about 90% of the Preakness winners over the last 50 years have been horses who ran in the Kentucky Derby and came back and were able to win at the Preakness. So the idea that all these horses who are like jumping in second race in the series, there has been some recent success for that. True, there's no question about that. But you had a lot of rare instances in the Kentucky Derby where a year where the Derby winner was disqualified, a year when the Derby was run out of order and they ran, you know, the Preakness Stakes in October. So you want to look at the last 4 or 5 years and say it's all these new horses coming in. There were also a lot of kind of weird scenarios mixed in there with it too. There aren't a lot of Derby winners who came out of Kentucky and came to the Preakness and ran poorly. Mystic Dan just missed last year. He ran a heck of a race coming out of the Kentucky Derby. Mage ran a very good third a couple years ago, you know. So it's not like the Derby winner has any history of coming and running terribly in the Preakness Stakes. In fact, the only trainer where you can kind of look at it, Todd Pletcher's won the Derby twice, and both times that he came to the Preakness, his horse ran terrible. You know, he had to kind of run back on 2 weeks. It's not Pletcher's MO, and his horses couldn't handle it. Pletcher's also a guy who's had a bunch of horses scratched going into the Kentucky Derby in recent years and such. You know, so he probably can't get his horses to go after the Derby in 2 weeks, as we saw with, you know, Super Saver back in 2010, Always Dreaming in 2017. They are really the only 2 Derby winners to run poorly in the Kentucky Derby in the last 15, 20 years. I mean, the Derby winner comes back and runs a good race. Journalism isn't the Derby winner, but he's by far the best of the horses coming out of the Derby who are, you know, firing, you know, on all cylinders come tomorrow. He may not handle it. I mean, that's why we're gambling. That's why we're watching, right? You know, I mean, we don't know. Will the Young Thunder handle Game 7 against a veteran team like Denver? They're the better team. Journalism's the better team like the Thunder, but it's in a different little scenario that they're not used to, right? And will the Thunder respond? This is still athletes, right? And this is still people and horses who are trying to do something in an athletic performance, and we're not sure what they'll do. But from a gambling standpoint, he should win the race.
Jeremy with the cross sports analogies. Jeremy, you're on point. Here's what I can't wrap my brain around. Bill Mott, you know him better than I. We talked to him after the Kentucky Derby, and he's a super nice guy. He's 71 years old. He's lived in the sport. He's known the Triple Crown schedule. It feels like a 71-year-old man that was there for Seattle Slew would say, this is what I've been brought up around, this Triple Crown, this schedule. I'm just bewildered that he wouldn't want to run the horse. I'm bewildered.
Look, we're not going to know the straight answer, right? We're not going to know. We're going to be to speculate. You know, we're going to know what they tell us anyway, right? And you either accept what you're told or you kind of, in handicapping in anything, you try to read between the lines. And sometimes you read between the lines properly, and sometimes what you're told is exactly right. But I will say this, trainers historically do not tell you the truth. They don't answer to the media. They answer to their owners, you know? And because there's the difference, this is another cross-sport analogy, but this will be a big reason why I say what I say. Because horse racing throughout its entire history has been like college football in the last couple of years. NIL, kids just get up and move. There are no contracts. There are no guarantees. You don't know how long you'll have somebody in your program, no matter how much money you spent, no matter how well you develop them. There are no contracts in horse racing. So if I own the horse and I want you to do something and you don't do it, I send a van over there and we move the horse to somebody else. There's no contract. You don't owe them anything. This is the way the game is played, and it has been played for a century. So trainers are constantly under that fear gun, like a head coach in college football right now, that if I don't play a kid enough reps, I'm going to lose him. You know, and like we see this in that sport now, and we say, hell, that's no way to run an organization. This is the way trainers have been operating in horse racing for a century. So sometimes you've got to say one thing and do another, because you're trying to please a couple different masters, you know? The owner's the ultimate one. And so maybe the owner doesn't want to hear, I can't get this horse healthy. Because if I can't get this horse healthy, I'm the trainer. What is my job if I can't get him healthy? So I'm not going to come out and say, I can't get this horse healthy in 2 weeks and get him turned back around. Maybe we go to, you know, a different answer publicly, and we don't know where the truth intersects with, you know, what is said. Yeah. And I'm not accusing Bill Mott of being a liar. We're just trying to put sense into what we've heard and why the horse isn't running. They have mentioned the Dubai World Cup next March. It makes sense. The owner owns that race. If they run too much now, they won't have a horse for next spring, they feel. And if that's their decision, then so be it, you know. But we as sports fans can either root for that or root against it, right? I mean, we're still, you know, we talk about it as a business and an industry, but if it's not a sport, then, you know, what are we doing on VSiN? What are we doing on NBC Sports? And you know, so if we're going to play it like a sport, we can also root and boo and cheer like a sport. And you can either like it or not like it in this particular situation. And I think both sides are fair.
Now, Jeremy, you did say you were a traditionalist, so I'm curious about your answer here because you are someone immersed in the sport. You make your living in the sport, and the more the casual fan tuning in is better overall for horse racing. How would you feel about the camp of people out there proposing that we change the Triple Crown schedule and make it a little bit easier so that we can get more horses to do all three of the events?
I think you're changing it for the wrong reason. Because it works. It works. The Preakness tomorrow will be the second biggest day on the calendar in American racing. People think the Breeders' Cup is the championships. It is dwarfed by the Preakness. There will be anywhere from 8 to 12 times the television audience tomorrow for the Preakness than there will be for the Breeders' Cup. There will be an infinite more handle tomorrow, betting numbers on the Preakness than there will be for the Breeders' Cup. That goes for the Belmont, that goes for the Travers. The only time the Belmont's bigger than the Preakness is when there's a Triple Crown on the line, and then there's something historic, and then everybody packs into Belmont Park or now Saratoga because of the reconstruction at Belmont. This is the second biggest day on the calendar, and it works. And the TV viewers are massive compared to any other race on television. A normal race on television might get 400 to 800,000 viewers on a network. This Preakness tomorrow will have 5.5 million if it's down. You know, if it's down. In a good Preakness year, it was 9 million. And I'm not talking about like 1980. We're talking about like 10 years ago, like California Chrome. 9-10 million people watching the Preakness Stakes. You know, so this is a big deal. And it works. Why does it work? Because it's so close to the Derby. You know, we're in this. This is like round 2 of the playoffs. Imagine they played the wild card round of the NFL and then waited 5 weeks for the second week of the playoffs, right? It's about momentum. So I think you lose all the momentum by trying to stretch this thing out into the summer. That's my opinion of it. And I think that's why you don't move it. It absolutely works. Have some of the fields been a little disappointing in the last year or two, last couple years? Yes, but there are a lot of reasons for that. And some I'll say and some I won't say publicly. But there are a lot of reasons for why the Preakness might be down a little bit. They're leveling the building the day after the Preakness Stakes and rebuilding it from scratch. It is dilapidated, right? I mean, it's like if Wrigley Field was left to just kind of wither away, it wouldn't have its charm anymore, right? It's still old and rickety, but people love it. But imagine if they just let it wither away. That's kind of what we've looked at with Pimlico for decades. I'm 53. I've been going to Pimlico since the early 1980s as a kid. It was a dump then, you know? I'm not kidding you. Like, it was not a fancy track then. And I've seen it throughout the last 40 years of my life going there. So good things can happen to the Preakness. Rebuild the building, make it an exciting place to go again, and make it a big event again. And I think people will want to be there, including people who own and train horses. I think there's a reason why the race has slid a little bit, and I think it's going to get a big boost. The Belmont, they moved to Saratoga. They had a good place to move, right? Everybody would rather be at Saratoga than be on Long Island at Belmont Park. So while Belmont's in a reconstruction right now for the last couple of years, and they're running the Belmont Stakes at Saratoga, that organization, the New York Racing Association, owns another racetrack that is the mecca, the Wrigley Field, if you will, of horse racing. So they didn't luck into it, obviously. It was in their brand, but they certainly benefited by having a very good alternative to move the Belmont Stakes to. Pimlico doesn't necessarily have that. They're going to go to a track called Laurel Park outside of D.C. in Maryland, and it's a smaller track. It'll handle 25,000 fans if they're lucky, and that's where they'll run during the temporary holdover for the Preakness. But a lot of tough decisions had to be made for the Preakness over the last several years, and they're getting around to them now. But to me, that's as big a reason why the Preakness may have fallen a little bit, even within the racing industry, because just the customer experience and the fan experience, it's not on a bucket list in the condition that it's in.
Yeah, I want to ask you about that. First bet, by the way, it's the app I use. You can get a bonus. You go sign up there. It's VSiN's preferred app when betting the Preakness tomorrow. Jeremy Plonk joins us. We haven't talked to you since the Kentucky Derby. I think that was not a good, but a great race. We got what we wanted down. I mean, it really was a great. I was kind of left shaking because I was like, I can't believe we're about to get this duel. We got the duel. We got the late entry by Asa flying after traffic. That was an awesome race.
It really was, and when the best horses come and perform, that's when racing's at its best, the ones that you knew before the race, not the surprise and like, oh, who in the heck was that? And you learn about them afterwards. When you can anticipate the buildup and then they show up and they deliver that kind of performance, it was. We talked about it. I think we mentioned point blank. You said, how many horses? I remember Dustin asking, how many horses do you think can win this race? And I think the number was 3 or 4. There weren't many in there. The Japanese horse, Luxor Cafe, was the one we missed on, who was the X factor. We didn't know how good he was, probably overrated his performances overseas. But the 3 best American horses ran 1, 2, 3. They delivered their performance of what you would expect going into the race. The Florida Derby runners, the Santa Anita Derby runners, those were the 2 best prep races this year, and those horses came and ran their race. So it was a very rewarding Derby to watch, no question about it. I was disappointed because I had journalism and I needed him from a gambling standpoint, would have hit everything with him on top. Instead, when he runs second, the way I gamble, I don't do a lot of hedging. I'm either going to hit or not. So it wasn't a fruitful Derby for me in that respect, but from the result, very satisfying result. 2 really, really good horses ran their races.
Now, Jeremy, a 9-horse field, how many names will we recognize from the Kentucky Derby to now at the Preakness this week?
There'll be 3 of them back. Sandman, American Promise, and Journalism will be the 3 back out of the Kentucky Derby. And if that sounds really low, for many years, for 18 years, I did the stats for NBC Sports broadcast for the Triple Crown races. So I did all the stat packets, all the research, everything for them, and sat as the spotter for Tom Hammond, Mike Tirico, and those guys who were on the desk. And we researched years ago, what is the likelihood going to the Preakness that a horse will come back out of the Kentucky Derby? in the 1970s, it was averaging about 4 horses. It built up to 5 in the 80s or into the 90s and into the 2000s, and now it's starting to dip back into the 4s and now into the 3s. It's not like we ever had a situation where every year there were 8 or 9 horses coming out of the Kentucky Derby running back in the Preakness. That's another reason why I think some of this, let's knee jerk, move the whole series and go crazy. I mean, look, I saw Mike Tirico. He had a quote about it, and respect to Mike for what he's done in sports, but he's not a horse racing guy. I mean, for him to talk about what he's seen since he's been on the desk, I think he first started with this after Tom got sick 2017, 2018. So he's been around for this transition period where there have been fewer horses from the Derby to the Preakness. So he knows what he knows, and he's seen it drop off. But it isn't that long ago, and historically, there weren't that many horses from the Preakness. And, you want to talk about the 70s, Secretariat and Seattle Slew and all these horses. They weren't facing 8 Derby horses back into the Preakness. It just was never that way historically. Now, it is down from like 5 to 3.5, and that's significant, in terms of a drop in percentage. But how tough would it be? And we've also seen where it's gone down and then back up over the decades. So who's to say we don't have another swing back up? And I think a new facility at Pimlico could be the swing that moves it back up. You're only looking to recruit 2 more people, and you're back to where you were in 1980 levels. And at the peak, you're at peak levels by recruiting 2 more horses. Do you think a brand new spanking new facility with suites and everything like that can't recruit 2 owners from the Kentucky Derby to go ahead and bring their horse? I think that's reasonable.
I love it. By the way, the Knicks up 27 at the break, so we got the spirited effort.
Well, I'm glad we have a blowout because now we can talk horses and people won't be yelling at you. I mean, if it was a close game in basketball, the audience might not want you.
I know horse racing can be provincial. I thought the Griffin kid with Sandman was awesome. He seemed super genuine and like really into the sport, so give him credit. Sandman may take some, kind of some of the social money. But let me just ask you about journalism. A perfect pace setup, you would think. You can go fast, you can go slow. I don't know if it does really matter. Is he by far the best horse? Does he go off close to even?
Yeah. Yeah, there's about 500,000 in the wagering right now, and he's been bouncing between even money and 6 to 5 late in the day. The last check I saw of the odds, so with about $500,000 in the pool already, that's a fairly significant number. There's also a daily double that goes from the Black-Eyed Susan Stakes today, which is like the Kentucky Oaks, to the Preakness, and he is a massive favorite in that. He's paying like $15 to the daily double to him. Everybody else is $55, $60 and up. So it goes to show the spread. He's going to be very, very heavy favorite. I think even money 6 to 5, something like that, will be the price on him. Sandman got a lot of that casual school teacher money, like the people who just tune in for the Derby once a year. A lot of people knew him from the Metallica push. Metallica's still pushing him, doing videos for him on social media, the whole Enter Sandman deal. And, the Griffin Johnson, the influencer's got 14, 15 million followers on the various social channels. That's real, but that really plays in the Kentucky Derby and the win pool. I've never seen that play in the Preakness pool before, because we are going from an American icon race with a lot of casual money in the pool to a little bit more of a hardcore players pool, and so there'll still be an influence for Sandman, but just for instance, if you looked at those daily double will pays from the race today to tomorrow, there's no casual money in those pools, right? No casual players playing a daily double from the Black-Eyed Susan to the Preakness, and yet Sandman is like 5th or 6th in the wagering in the daily doubles. So while he's the second choice in the morning line and was the second favorite in the Kentucky Derby, the money that's in the pools already are kind of indicating he's not going to get bet nearly as hard as he did in the Derby. He might be a similar price because there's only 9 horses in this race versus 19 in Kentucky. But like 5 to 1 in this race is not the same as 5 to 1 in the Derby, when you talk about percentage of the pool. So I would think that Sandman is probably going to be 3rd choice. I think the Steve Asmussen horse is going to be 2nd choice, Clever again in the win pool. I think he's going to take a decent amount of money and be the 2nd choice. Then it'll be either Sandman or Bob Baffert's Goal Oriented, kind of vying for the 3rd wagering favorite in the race. And I wouldn't be surprised if Sandman ends up the 4th choice at post time.
Jeremy, is there a horse that we didn't see at Kentucky that we're seeing this week that you're really intrigued to watch run this race and could do something?
Yeah, because I think if you're going to beat the favorite in here, journalism, it's going to be a horse on the front end who just goes out there. We might get a sloppy track. I mean, there was a hellacious rainstorm there, middle of the day today. It's rained all week at Pimlico. They had a fast track for most of the card, but then had about an hour weather delay today with a big thunderstorm coming through. Similar forecast for tomorrow where there could be a late day thunderstorm. If it's a sloppy track and they seal it and press it down really hard, it's like running near the water at the beach, and it's really hard and packed down. Horses don't get very tired over it. The horses who go out to the front and have some early advantage don't get as gassed and could pull an upset on the front end. And the two horses in this race that we didn't see in Louisville, who I think are talented enough to maybe pull the upset, both want to go straight to the front. That's Clever Again, the horse for Steve Asmussen that we talked about just a moment ago, and then the Bob Baffert horse, Goal Oriented. He ran on Derby Day. He went wire to wire on Derby Day in the slop in just an allowance race, which is kind of like I don't know. It's another sports analogy to it, but it's kind of like playing at AAA and not being called up to the bigs yet, And he won that race on the Derby Day undercard, but he is very talented and he's got speed. He's got the inside. Flavian Pratt won a couple big stakes races today at Pimlico. So I could see the one Goal Oriented with the rail sailing out of there and trying to go all the way. I could see Clever Again from the 8 doing the same thing, trying to clear the field and go flying out of there. They're both horses who have plenty of pedigree. They got trainers who have won multiple editions of the Preakness Stakes. So if you're going to beat Journalism, I don't think you're going to come from behind and beat him. There's no sovereignty in this field coming from behind. Sandman can't finish fast enough, I don't think, to go past Journalism. So if you're going to beat him, you're going to be in front of him the whole time. I think that's the recipe to pull the upset.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of a way to beat Journalism. McCarthy seemed pretty confident. You probably would have more information there on the horse coming in as far as conditioning.
Yeah.
Unless it's a bad break, Jeremy, or like he's not going to have to deal with traffic most likely.
Yep.
He's just the best horse here.
Yeah, the one difference about his trip in the Kentucky Derby compared to any other race he's ever run, he's never had a horse outside of him coming down the stretch. And so Sovereignty came up to him on the outside. That forced the jockey, Umberto Rispoli, the Italian jockey that he's got on him, to hit him with the left hand and whip with the left hand because the other horse was to his outside, so his right hand is blocked and he can't use his right hand. This horse had never felt a left-handed whip before, and some don't respond to that, And maybe he kind of shut it down a little bit after getting hit left-handed, and that helped Sovereignty just kind of go past him. I think the tactic, even though he's in post position 2 to start, I think once he can kind of get away from the gate a little bit, they're going to go to the outside, and they're going to keep him outside of horses all the way, out of trouble all the way, and not worry about anybody trying to close up on his outside. And if he goes back to that tactic, I think he's going to be really, really tough.
I agree. Before we go, can you just give the audience an idea of what to expect over the next few years? Pimlico, traditionally with the Preakness, what is happening with the track and what will happen with the race?
Yeah, so starting in the weeks after the race is run here, and tomorrow, is they're going to raise the building. It's been there since the 1870s. It's going to be leveled completely. The only thing that's going to be left, the barn area is all going to be leveled. The only thing that's going to be left is the actual oval racetrack. And they're going to build around that. There was talk originally they were going to reconfigure the racetrack and turn that a different direction. But once the Maryland Stadium Authority started running bids on how much of this was going to cost to redo everything, they said, that's one thing we can kind of hold off on. Let's keep the track in the same configuration and shape that it is now and build out everything around it and all the infrastructure around it. So that's going to take, they say, 2 years to complete. That seems awfully aggressive. We've watched government agencies try to build bridges that take more than that in every town we've ever been in. So if the Maryland Stadium Authority can completely rebuild Pimlico and all the barn areas and all the structures that go with this thing in 2 years, I think they will have pulled off a building miracle. So it is going to move to Laurel Park, which is a track, I believe it's Montgomery County, the county right outside of Washington, D.C., but it's in this, the city of Laurel in Maryland. So it's still a state track. It's owned by the same operation, First Racing, which is First Bet and the company that I'm associated with, used to own Pimlico and Laurel Park. They sold Pimlico to the state of Maryland for them to operate the track and rebuild it, and then First Racing keeps Laurel Park until Pimlico's ready to go. Then Laurel Park will be sold and just become, condominiums or something, and all the racing in Maryland will move to Pimlico year-round. The brand new facility possibility. Again, they hope to be open in 2 years. So 2 years, what would that be? 26 and 27 at Laurel Park, and then back to Pimlico maybe, after that. I've seen something that was even thinking that they might be able to get ready for the 27 Preakness at Old Hilltop, as they call it, Pimlico. That's hitting the superfecta on a straight ticket. I don't see how they are going to build that thing by 2027. I'm just I'm just a guy who drives on our roads a lot, and I don't see any way that we're going to get this thing constructed in that quick of a time. At Belmont Park, the construction is already, underway for a couple years. They've run last year's at Saratoga, the Belmont Stakes. They'll run this year's at Saratoga. Next year, the Triple Crown race, the Belmont Stakes, will also be at Saratoga, and the plan is to open in the fall of, that would be 26. The fall of 26, the new Belmont Park will open on the grounds right next to the hockey arena there, where the Islanders play out there. Is that the NHL team? So it's right on the same grounds with the NHL team's hockey arena, which has been for the last couple of years. But the old stadium's knocked down. The new Belmont Park will be constructed. And they say, fall of 27, they'll be up and running there, which means the Belmont Stakes of 2028 would be the first one back on Long Island. So a couple more years at Saratoga. 28 might be the big year where we see all the new stuff, right? 28 seems a little more realistic for Pimlico. Or no, that would be 27 that would be running at Belmont. If the fall of 26, they're going to reopen. So it's hard to keep track of everything. We're still a couple years away, and I don't know. I just want a horse to run back in 2 weeks,
Me too.
From the Derby to the Preakness. I can't think ahead 3 years on all these projects and everything that's going on.
And then back to Belmont, where you get the test of 1.5 miles, which you can't get there at Saratoga.
Right. So they've changed the distance of the Belmont Stakes, because if you ran a 1.5 mile race at Saratoga, the starting gate would be on the turn. There would be a massive advantage to some horses and disadvantage to others, starting like with a non-staggered start, like we would have in track and field. So they can't run a 1.5 miles at Saratoga. So they've already screwed with the tradition anyway. With the moves and everything that has gone on, the Belmont Stakes will run at least 2-3 years there at the 1.25 mile distance and not the 1.5 mile. But yeah, they would go back to a 1.5 mile in the Belmont when we get to the new reconstructed Belmont Park. But a lot of water under the bridge till then.
Just in 30 seconds, I've never asked you this. Are you a Saratoga and then there's every other course, or is there a course that sneaks up there for you?
Oh, Keeneland. I love Keeneland in Kentucky.
The boutique.
Yeah,
Keeneland, I've never been. I heard it's amazing.
Yes, it absolutely is. Keeneland was built in about 1934, 35. And when you walk in there, you feel like you're right there. And it's been kept. We talked about like if Wrigley Field wasn't kept and left to be dilapidated. Keeneland is as clean and pristine as you've ever seen. And it's that old. Like every brick is beautiful. Everything is swept. All the trees are where the horses go under a tree to saddle, and they all have, everything's beautifully painted and everything's taken care of. It's where the Keeneland sales are. So they make a lot of money through the sales. And so they can spend the money on the infrastructure for the racing there in the spring and the fall. But Keeneland in Kentucky and Lexington, Kentucky, that's the one track. They only run in April and October. If you could ever make it there, any of your listeners, I promise you'll have a great day.
That's my bucket track. And the listeners, I use it. You should use it. First Bet. Just download the app. You can bet the Preakness tomorrow. Jeremy Plonk, of course, First Bet horse racing handicapper at Horseplayer Now on Twitter. Screw the basketball. We just got 34 minutes of horse racing. That's what America's about, Jeremy.
That's what I'm talking about. What is it, like a 30-point game now?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. That's like journalism winning secretariat in the Preakness, okay? There goes Jeremy Plonk. We'll talk to him before the Belmont, and we're coming back. We'll set you up with that second half number with the Celtics and Knicks.
This is VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio with Patrick Meagher and Dustin Swedelson. covering the spread all night long. This is VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio. Here's Patrick Meagher and Dustin Swedelson.
Okay, VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio. We got you back underway in the third with the Celtics Knicks. It's a 19-point game. It was a 27-point game. Wait, am I doing the math incorrectly?
It's a 29.
Yeah, it's a 29-point game. It was 27 at the break.
Dude.
It's now 29. So we asked for it. The Knicks lead the series 3-2. It looks like they're going to wrap up this series. We're going to get our answer pretty soon what that series price is going to be with the Knicks Pacers. Knicks are going to have home court there.
Yeah, it's I'm fascinated by the matchup just because I think Indiana is actually a better overall team than the Knicks. But as a Knicks fan, I'm pretty fired up for this and to see what they can go full strength against Indiana, because while Indiana is deeper, I think if the Knicks are able to play their game, they can win. I do have a couple futures on them, as this is going to be a dirty thing, I admit right now. This is a safe space, so I'm saying that I'm admitting it's dirty, so don't judge me. When Jason Tatum went and held the back of his leg, and I thought it might be an Achilles, I did hedge my Knicks future with 11-1 on the Pacers to win the title, because that felt like the move there. So I'm sitting okay. I'll have someone from the East in the finals, and I do have a Nuggets ticket. I just need tomorrow or Sunday to go my way and Oklahoma City to go bye-bye.
Hey, speaking of which, Lenny Kravitz is sitting on the wood. Are you going to go my way? Are the bets going to go your way? If you had the over in Maple Leafs Panthers, it's not going your way, as we are at the second intermission tied up at nothing. 0-0. Maple Leafs Panthers.
Oh,
the Panthers
I would lay it with Florida. Those boys from Toronto, they don't do well with pressure like this.
Well, go pull up the in-game number. Let's see what the price is on the Panthers.
Florida minus 180, plus 140 on the Leafs. Total's 2.5. But you know what I would do, because there's a pulled goalie coming? I'd go Florida minus 1.5 plus 340.
You think so? You think the Panthers will pull goalie? The Panthers get up 1-0. You think, and then okay,
plus 340 that's a big number.
Closer to 220. So we've now dipped with one period to play down to 180. So you're getting a discount if you love the Panthers coming into it. I don't know if I'm laying $1.80 on a one period situation. So if I'm doing anything, maybe I'd do what you said. Try to go for it all with laying a puck and a half with that empty net potentially. Jaylen Brown just pushed off, and yes, that is going to be called an offensive foul on Jaylen Brown, as it's catching up. It's catching up to Celtics. That's all we could say.
Yeah, I have to say.
There was initial juice in Game 5 with the Tatum injury. There is no juice for the Celtics in Game 6.
I have to say, as a Knicks fan, it is really nice to be in a game where it's not a close game. It's not going to come down to the fourth quarter, my team is not trailing in that situation. This is a very pleasant feeling to be experienced at this moment.
Brunson with the step-back jumper, so the Knicks lead by 31. What I would say, we were talking about it early when they got up like 9, and we were just like, look, if the Knicks are worth anything, they want to change the perception of what happened in Game 5. You absolutely demolished the Celtics tonight on your home wood, and they're up 31, so we have to give them credit there. So now I flip-flopped back to being a Knick guy.
Hey, you're just reacting based on what you saw last. You can't do anything.
That's all I
but
can do.
React to it.
I'm nothing but a man.
If we could predict the future, we wouldn't be doing the show. We'd be winning these bets and not telling anyone about them.
I'm just I bleed like you bleed. I'm a Homo sapien. And when I see the Knicks,
gotta be careful with the end of that
I was very careful. But when I see the Knicks curl up like a little baby in Boston and show no fight and get their binky, I like to see a little fight here up 31. So we're good. They've corrected all their wrongs.
Now, DraftKings leaves the futures markets up, like who's going to win the title. I'd say this. There is a sect of the gambling Twitter space that just believes if you get the best number on something, even if it doesn't actually hit and win you money, you were actually the smartest person in the world. Right now, Boston Celtics, what are they down right now? About 50? What's the score? I'm refreshing my feed. 74-34. So they're down 31. You can get the Celtics to win the title at 200-1. No one else has that ticket.
No, neither. If you feel free, they're down 31.
You know what? I'm going to be a douche and tweet it at Dustin Swedelson. I'm going to tweet the ticket 200-1. I got CLV on the Celtics.
Oh, jeez.
Gambling Twitter told me. Gambling Twitter told me.
Yeah, have fun with that one. Let's just quickly do this because there was some news about Aaron Gordon, and I think this is important, especially if you're thinking about betting it. Oh, some shops are showing 9. So maybe the Gordon news is a little bit worse than I thought. Most are 8.5, but when we started the program, Oklahoma City, Game 7 on Sunday, that was a steady 7.5, and now everybody, it's painted 8.5. So that is based on the news that Shams dropped that Aaron Gordon, did he say game time decision?
It said doubtful, which that is not good. I mean, that if you just think about Denver and all their shortcomings and how they match up with Oklahoma City, Gordon brings a lot to the table. One, versatile defender, so when any switches, he can handle anything on that side of the floor. Two, outside of Murray and Jokic, you need someone to step up and help them offensively. He's had a couple of big moments already, the buzzer beater, the 3 in the corner. He's hit some huge shots for them with the alley-oop on the missed shot by Jokic at the buzzer. They can't afford to not have his defense, but more importantly, they can't afford to not have him as an offensive option because they only play 7 or 8 guys anyway.
You think they the concept of them winning without Gordon, I don't even know how to conceptualize it.
It's non-existent.
It's one of those things where you just start putting the pieces together and you're just like, yeah, I don't know where the bodies come from.
Well, because Julian Strother isn't having another Julian Strother game. That just happened. The Julian Strother game just happened. Christian Brown, he's up and down, and he's a young player. He's better at home than he is on the road. You can't just lock that in. So basically with Gordon out, the expectation if you're going to win, if you're the Nuggets, is Jokic's got to go for 50. Minimum. Minimum
in-game number on by the way, the in-game number on the Knicks is like 26, 27.5. They just showed Larry Johnson in the crowd. I'll just say this. He's been eating good.
Yeah, you know what? I loved Larry Johnson when the Knicks traded for him. He turned out to be one of those guys that put up huge numbers when he was on a Hornets team that wasn't that good, and he was, like, okay with the Knicks. Do you think of him as a Knick? Because I definitely think of him as Grandmama as a Charlotte Hornet.
Charlotte Hornet. Although he had some pretty, I mean, obviously some statistically good seasons with the Knicks.
Yeah.
What I would say, if you had an all-time team of dudes you expect to look like they were eating good after they retired, Larry Johnson is on the first team because he looked like he was a hamburger away from eating good when he was playing.
Yeah, it's true. And not to be confused with the other Larry Johnson who played running back in the NFL who went a little cuckoo.
Yeah, I haven't really tracked him. But I do think I know what you're talking about. So, it's Hart with a 3, so 77-43.
Okay, Tibbs, let's take him out, Tibbs. Take him out.
You got to at least give him the 3rd, no?
Yeah, I know. But I want Brunson out of there ASAP. Everyone else can play.
Good game, though. Competitive, 34-point difference right now.
Hey, you love to see it. You love to see Boston go down. Look. You and I would have given them a lot of credit. That's my new transition word. Relax.
You noticed?
Believe me, I've noticed it. It just keeps happening. I'm trying to stop it, but my brain's just going.
Look.
Okay? Okay is another one.
Look
okay
means I'm thinking about what I want to say.
Yeah, it's called a stall tactic.
I got a lot of those tricks, too.
Who do you think I learned from? I'm just repeating the same one over and over.
Listen.
Well, that's Mike in the OC. You at least mix it up. And then Mike does the awkward laugh when he has actually nothing to say. Where was I going? Oh, the Celtics.
Oh.
Had this thing come to fruition, and we had to give them credit again and then start to talk about dynasty, we would have done it because you had to do it. It wouldn't have felt good. I wouldn't have enjoyed it, but it would have been our jobs.
Well, they're not really giving us much to sweat right now, as
I know.
80-43.
So we're looking at the
30, 37. I'm good with math. That's a 37-point lead. Karl Anthony Towns showing up at a big spot.
Okay, I also think I know what the series price or who will be favored in the Eastern Conference Finals based on what I'm seeing here.
Well, we got yelled at when
odds.
we said it could be either way, right?
Yeah,
by the
I still
know-it-alls.
stand by. I still stand by it. One, the rest advantage. Two, the depth. Also, Indiana's playing better basketball than the Knicks right now, even though the Knicks are advancing. We don't have a series price officially, but simply because I have finals odds, I would tell you one team is the second shot on the board. The other team in the East is the fourth shot on the board.
Go ahead.
The Knicks are plus 360. They are the second shot. The Pacers are the fourth shot. They are 6-1.
So the Knicks are going to be like a $1.40 favorite.
I don't think that's correct.
I don't think they should be.
Is that then the book saying we're scared of how much New York
home
money
court,
we're
New
take?
York money. It's New York
Yeah.
money, home court. Nobody's betting the Pacers.
I'll tell you this, if I'm Rick Carlisle, I love that. I love that rallying cry. We're the underdogs. No one believes in us. It's big, bad New York. I think the Pacers got something for the Knicks, and they could steal game one very easily with that rest.
We'll update you on the hockey and closed tabs coming back. VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio.
Meagher and Dustin Swedelson. It's time to wrap up today's show. You see what I did there? Yeah. By finishing all of the conversations we touched on today. This is Closing Tabs.
Okay, got a 37-point lead for the Knicks. 6:15 left to play in the fourth, so nothing to see here, people. Keep it moving. Knicks-Pacers going to be your Eastern Conference Finals. The Knicks will be favored. I don't know if that's the true number. The true number to me is a pick'em or a $1.10 Pacers way. But I think the Knicks are going to be a $1.40, $1.45 in the series when it's posted.
Yeah, that feels about right, but I feel like that's what they're going to do, but I don't believe that's correct.
That's what I'm saying. I think it's a straight up pick 'em because of home court with the Knicks, but outside of the home court, I'd say the Pacers should be favored $1.20, $1.15-ish, somewhere in there. That's my true number.
I'm trying to see if anyone's going to post a price early, and I am not seeing anyone
post it.
Wait, hold on. No, this is old. Someone's doing shady stuff. Never mind. That is not the price.
Post it. Don't be scared. Let's close tabs before we get out of here. Still second intermission down in Florida with the Maple Leafs and Panthers tied up at nothing.
All right, I have to do something you don't like. I have to correct information. I have to correct information.
All right. Well, I mean, you think I know? You think I think I'm saying correct stuff?
No, you said something factually incorrect. That's all. You mentioned King Henry V, and you said beheading. He was actually known for his military prowess and victories, but he's not known for beheadings. That was King Henry VIII, who was known for the beheadings, including beheading political opponents and his many wives.
Yep, that's on me. I botched it. I got the 5th and the 8th mixed up. I felt it when I said it. I just didn't want to course correct. Didn't want to go backwards. I didn't want to go backwards.
Close. How about this?
There's so many people. The majority of people listening, they felt like I said the right thing.
They had no idea. I agree. 10 years ago today, American Pharoah won the Preakness en route to winning the Triple Crown. When I mention American Pharoah, what do you think about that horse?
The most gentle, calm demeanor of any horse I've ever seen in my life. Really? And an all-time great.
Well, yeah, I mean Triple Crown.
Yeah, but as compared to other great horses over the past 100 years, many put him close to that top 10.
Okay. Is this guy an all-time great? I don't think you're a fan. But his birthday's today, so shout out to Pierce Brosnan, born in 1953.
Why wouldn't I be a Brosnan fan?
Among the James Bonds, which you are a super fan of the James Bond series, where would Pierce Brosnan rank for you?
See, I loved Brosnan as Bond. No, I did.
I think he looks like James Bond to me. Like that's
no, I don't think anybody's ever looked more like James Bond. I agree with you there. I love Brosnan as James Bond. He was in those movies in the 90s, and it looked ratchet. Like it looked like a straight-to-TV action film.
It doesn't hold up, is what you're saying. The quality of the production.
Correct.
Oh, interesting.
But Brosnan was a great Bond.
Oh, okay. I don't know why I didn't think you were a fan.
I agree with your assessment. I don't know if anybody's ever looked more like what Bond should look like.
Yeah, that's a good looking guy. That's a good looking dude. God blessed him with some DNA and features that work.
He was GoldenEye. Ryan says GoldenEye was classic, and then everything else was crap.
Well, GoldenEye was the video game on Nintendo 64 that all of us played. All of my friends.
Even I played
was the game where it was one of the all-time greats. One of the absolute all-time great video games.
Agreed. We've got a 50, 60, 70, 80, I don't know, like a 33-point game. Anything else?
Yeah, I've got a few things here. I'm going to do this. Jeff messaged me on Instagram and said I botched it on Mother's Day and didn't do my annual top 10 MILFs list. So it's a little tough because at 40, now the people who are the same age as me are listed as MILFs, and I traditionally want to think of people older than me as MILFs. I guess that would mean I'm into GILFs these days. I've gotten that old. But I'll go 10-1 real quick.
Hillary Duff, 5-1 because you're going to run out of time.
5-1. Kim Kardashian, 5.
Oof.
20.
Beckinsale, 4. Oof. Diane Lane, 3. Nelly Furtado, 2. Jennifer Love Hewitt, 1.
That is a hell of a list.
It's
what, 10?
I got to be honest, that's a good way to end the week.
That's the middle of the order.
5 for 5. the big guy. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you, Isaiah. We'll see you Monday. VSiN Live.
Covering the spread all night long. This is VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio.